It's 9 AM. We'll do the pledge first. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You have the agenda. Is there any additions to the agenda? We got a couple of them. I guess we have a scheduled meeting for August 20th meeting. I don't think we'll need that. We'll have to cancel that, I guess. Also there's states requiring an unorganized township mileage that needs to be signed by that. That's been prepared. I think that was emailed to you, so I need approval to sign that. Anything else or need to add or? Not, I'll look for a motion to approve the agenda.
Make a motion to approve the agenda.
A motion to have a second.
I'll second.
A second. All in favor, state aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Motion carried. Next, minutes for July 2nd meeting. Is there any corrections or additions to the minutes for the July 2nd meeting?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
July 8th. No, July 2nd. Anyway, the one where it's at the last page where we made a motion to approve the Rivera list of pledge of assets.
Yes.
It has that I made both the motion and the second.
Oh, okay,
So if you want to correct that, whatever that is.
okay. Okay. Any other corrections? If not, I'll look for a motion then to approve.
I'll move to approve as corrected.
Okay, I have a motion, I have a second.
Second.
Second, all in favor, state aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carried. And we have the July 8th meeting. Is there any corrections to that? Or additions? There's no corrections, I look for a motion then.
I would move to approve the July 8th minutes as submitted.
Okay, I have a motion to have a second.
Second.
I have a second. All in favor, state aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, motion carried. Next, accounts payable. Is there any correction or questions on the accounts payable?
Got a question.
Yes.
Under the Fairground Special Projects Fund, we didn't have a park board meeting this morning. Normally, they would recommend approval of those 4 bills, which is part of the restroom project. Do we need to hold off on that, or can we? I mean, we haven't seen the bills. I have, but the entire commission has not seen those, so just looking for some direction on that.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, normally you would do that in the park board side. I can get the bills for you on the break if the commission wants to look them over and then approve them towards the end of the meeting if you want.
They should be approved by the park board though first, right?
Well, that's kind of what my thought is.
Yeah.
So I don't know if any of those vendors would have an issue with, being held out a little bit, but anyway, I just,
Yeah.
So did you want to approve them with those taken out then, the
well, I'm just
63?
asking for guidance, number one, and it sounds like you kind of agree that the park board should make the recommendation.
Usually.
So if that would be.
That
the
is
fact-
under the park board, that
yeah,
fairground
so
special
If that was
project.
the case, I think our motion should include the bills less those 4 invoices.
Okay. Any other questions in the accounts payable? Not, I'll look for a motion then to approve.
Mr. Chairman, I would move that we pay the bills as submitted less the invoices for the fairground special project
Okay, have a motion to have a second.
Second.
Second. Okay, do a roll call vote, then Commissioner Messer,
Aye.
Commissioner Claris,
Aye.
Commissioner Marsh,
Aye.
Commissioner White,
Aye.
chair votes aye, motion carried. And we don't have any park board items to discuss because we didn't have a meeting on that, right? Skip that then and go to the sheriff's report then.
Chairman, Commissioners, good morning. Highlights for the Stark County Sheriff's Office for the month of July 2024. Total calls for service were 1,665. This is down last year from 1,714. There was 199 traffic stops. This is up from 188 last year. 373 PR stops. This is down from 382 last year. I just wanted to make note that our fleeing cases, both on foot and especially in vehicles, are going up exponentially this year, both in the city of Dickinson and in the county. I don't really know how to explain it other than the change of society, I guess, but happening a lot more, and we did have some damage to one of our vehicles on one of these last ones that went just north into Dunn County. Would have been last weekend, I believe. Ended up with some frame tweakage that's going to need to be remedied.
So you catching them all?
Always Bernie. Nobody gets away.
Then it's worth it.
There was 10 theft-related calls for services, up from 9 last year. There's 23 K-9 usages, 0 school zone patrols, obviously. And when we discussed the K-9 program, just so you guys are in the loop, and obviously Commissioner Messer and Franchuk are aware as our portfolio holders, we are going to, in 2025, reduce our K-9 unit by 1 for a multitude of reasons, but health being one of those reasons. So maybe we'll look at revisiting that in 2026, that particular position. But as for next year, we'll be down to 2 dogs on patrol, and then Myra is our emotional support dog. Truck reg, we had 7 regulatory stops with 25 additional calls for service. I responded to 18 accidents, 0 of those pedestrian, 0 fatality, 2 hit and run, 2 injury, 14 property. Transport, there was 14 prisoner, 12 court, 0 medical, 1 juvenile, 1 assist, and 4 mental health. The civil division had 211 paper attempts. Including those attempts were 38 subpoena services, 129 civil papers, and 19 criminal papers. There was 99 total arrests for the month of July. 64 of those were warrant served. I believe all of you are aware about that house fire incident we had south of South Hart, which was a very bad deal. I just wanted to publicly thank all the agencies that helped us through that, especially our county road department. We couldn't have done what we did without them. So it was very nice as well, the fire departments, ambulance services, and other agencies. We also assisted with that, what is now, I believe, being charged out as a murder on help me out, Amanda, on Enterprise Avenue, where 3 of our deputies responded. We're actually the first ones on scene because we were closer than the PD officers on that. So we helped out and assisted with that rather unpleasant incident. We also had that murder trial here last week in the courthouse, which went rather well in a harmony with Ward County, where the trial came from in Minot. So that it eventually ended up as a guilty plea, and was a rather long week, but was good. Guilty verdict, that's what I meant. Yes, not plea. He should have pleaded guilty. Out-of-state travel, I have Mr. Dave Klatt, who is our K-9 coordinator, who would like to go to Kansas City week after next and attend a seminar that I attended back in 2015. It's very good for K-9 supervisors. It has a lot to do with liability and things of that nature. It's a $350 course, and then he would be driving to and from. So I need approval on that.
Mr. Chairman, I would move that we approve the out-of-state travel for Deputy Clark.
Have a motion, to have a second.
Second.
Second, okay. All in favor, state aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carried.
Okay, Ms. Ingolstead and I are also working on the Belfield and Gladstone contracts. If you guys could just give the approval for Mr. Franchuk to sign off on those when they come to us. They're both essentially done, but we just need to get everything in order with that.
Yeah, I'll look at them. So if you want to just give me the approval to look at them, and then you can sign off. I think the Gladstone one is pretty much done.
Yep.
And then Belfield, we're just waiting for the Belfield City Attorney to get their edits and send it over.
The Richardson one, has that been corrected too, or
Remind me what the issue was on that.
there's a wrong date on the
Oh, yes,
contract?
correct. Yes, and then the Gladstone one was voted on and approved last night by their commission, so.
Mr. Chairman, I would move that we authorize the signature of the chairman to sign both the Belfield and Gladstone contracts, subject to state's attorney review and approval.
Okay, have a motion, to have a second.
A second.
A second. Any other discussion? All in favor, state aye. Aye. Those opposed, motion carried.
All right, we did have some other vehicle damage last night. Deputy Latasha Klatt from the courthouse here was traveling up to a car seat class up in Minot, and she hit a deer. May or may not total out that vehicle. The airbags were deployed. Some radiator and headlight damage. That was our old squad car that we had stripped and we're going to use for training. And that's why we kept it around. So it's not a very valuable vehicle as it is. So it may be out of commission. So
She's okay?
she is okay. A little shook up, a little bruised up, but she's all right. And then one other, I've had several complaints about 114 heading out to the lake. I discussed this with Al a little bit. I don't think he's too crazy about the speed bump idea, but I know they do make those portable speed bumps they can put out in the summertime and then take them out for the winter so you can clear snow. That's one idea that they've thrown out, but maybe if you guys can put that road on your radar and potentially come up with ideas. We did put a speed sign out on that. That's the one that goes south into the rec area at the lake, which would be just west of Baker Boy there. Again, the residents there are quite unhappy. We've done a lot of extra patrol in that area. I've even had a couple overtime shifts approved just to watch that area and 109 up by the August House. So if you guys can come up with any thoughts or ideas on that, we appreciate it.
I know at the Whitlock Resort back in South Dakota, at the resort going in, they have rumble strips set up, portable rumble strips they can put in and out because everybody flies down that road as well. I was down there. They put up them just portable. There's not speed bumps, they're just rumble strips.
Okay. And she does actually have video of vehicles flying by, so it's not, I don't think it's an exaggeration by any means, so. All right, anything else?
Normally, does she say, is it normally the same vehicles or is it just any?
No, it's random. A lot of people come and go from that rec area, so. All right, thank you.
Suppose they slow down for the railroad track though.
Okay, next to the road department, Al Laser.
Well, good morning, everyone. Just kind of run down what the road department's up to. Nice rain we got here yesterday. We got all our blades out, blading roads until the moisture dries up, which will probably be tomorrow. It gets kind of warm again. Our trucks have been hauling gravel out west of Dickinson, and we're going to be finishing up there probably in a couple weeks and moving the trucks down in the Richardson Taylor area. The pipe crew been replacing some old bridges. We've got some old bridges that are in tough shape, so we actually took them out and put in some pipe in there. This picture we got up here now was on the frontage road over there by Taylor. The road was so narrow, so we actually bought some end sections to widen it. The guys got started looking there, and well, pretty soon here all the pipes were separated underneath the road. So with that separation, we ended up digging them out, relaying them all, and then we actually wrapped them with fabric. That's what they do nowadays is put fabric on that way, it keeps the dirt from sifting through and washing out, so. And then, other things, you guys had that copy there. We've been renting a Traco for the last couple of years. Just kind of get your ideas and what your thoughts are. We've had it for 2 months. We'll probably rent it for another 2 months, so we'll probably have about $23,000 in rent in it. We can buy the machine for $162,000 plus a compaction wheel for about $171,000. So just want to get your ideas. It wasn't in the budget for last year, but there'd probably be room to buy it. So we use it a lot. I know Todd can probably attest to that because it's just so much handy to reach in and lay them bigger pipe and dig in deeper holes and rather than renting something from a contractor. So I don't know what your thoughts are, ideas.
And the rent goes against purchase?
Right here now, 80% of the rent goes to the purchase price, and that 11,600 we rented for the last 2 months will go off of the price. We rented it last year, and the price has come down quite a bit. Last year was 194,000. This year's 167,500. So, just looking for, there'd be some room in the budget yet to purchase that. So,
Well, if it's gonna get used, then it's,
Yeah, well, my only question is like, I know the ag market, the used market has crashed. And would there be any, and I don't, this is the first I've seen it, would there be any merit to leasing it for one more year and seeing what the market
well,
does?
then we can, but I mean that's that $60 some $100 just goes out the window.
Yeah.
Where we could pay for it here. If you look back, and I agree, last year the list price on the machine was 194. Today it's 167. And on all of our rent will go towards the purchase of it. So
Is that with the compaction wheel?
no, it's not without a compaction wheel. The compaction wheel is really nice, so we can reach out and pack between, especially when we lay 2 culverts. We usually lay one packet in, we dig the other one back out because you can't get between them in the compaction wheel.
Al, how long is their offer to you good? I mean, is that something that can be studied for 30 till the next
Oh
meeting?
yeah, absolutely, because we're just going to pay another month's rent, and that'll just come off the price.
Okay.
And what's the monthly rent?
I think it's 5,800. Well, whatever this 11,600 is,
Okay.
that's for 2 months, and I think that's 80% of that.
This is gonna come out of county roads unorganized, is
Yeah.
that where it'll come out?
Yeah.
Okay.
And you've had that since? No,
We've
you
we've
haven't.
we had it now. This is the 3rd month, and we did not make the July payment because if we buy it, then it just messes things up. So if we don't buy it, then we'll have to make the July payment.
Yeah, and I was gonna ask if you've had possession of that since new, and probably not.
No,
'cause
we
it
have
has
not.
1,600 hours on it. So.
Yeah, I think last year I don't know how many hours we put on it, but so
I guess you wanna wait 30 days.
Well, I'm just thinking, just wanted to.
we can wait another month. That's not a problem. If
Information,
if you want to think about it and chat around, that's absolutely fine. And like I said, then I'll just have one thing we'll have to add to the bills today is the July rent.
For $5,800.
I think that's about where it is, somewhere in that neighborhood. So we can sure do that, so we'll move on. I know we've got discussion about speed limit out on, by the golf course, and I know Todd did a lot of studying out there, so I'll kind of let him come up here and let you know what he found out for speed and stuff, and I know Paul was real involved with it too, and that's kind of where it started from, so they can spiel it out and then get your recommendation.
Good morning, Todd Miller with Stark County Road Department, Road Operations Specialist. Been here for 43 years, so I know the area well. We're talking about over by the golf course area. That is, they requested 35-mile-an-hour speed limits. That has already been taken care of, remedied that way with all the correct locations. We only had to add 2 more signs. The segment coming from St. Joe's Cemetery, that area is 35 already, so then from State Avenue all the way through 8th Street, all the way to Little Hales Court would be 35 miles an hour. The residents in the subdivision where Patterson Lake, or I think it's Patterson Drive and 30th Street, they're requesting speed limits at 20 miles an hour. My recommendation to the board would be probably set that at 15. Reason being is the Decker subdivision is at 15 miles per hour, and that's in a better shape road-wise. 15 miles an hour, even 25 would be way too fast for in that subdivision. It's a narrow roads. As far as speed, had some speed boards out there, or not speed boards, we're going to put up speed boards. Those will be located one before the subdivision coming from the west from Little Hales Court, and also one from the south coming around the golf course area. And we'll have those speed boards put up. When I first initially put them up, I'll put them in a stealth mode. And what that stealth mode is that the sign will be there, but it will not show any speeds flashing at the time, but yet it's still collecting the data. Then once that's determined, then we'll see what the overall speeds are. I did put traffic counters out on that 8th Street by the golf course, a little ways to the west, halfway between that big curve that goes in there around it. Highest speed was 90 miles an hour. Average speeds there are 45. I don't know how the 90 miles an hour got there. I don't know which direction, but if you're going from the east to the west, I don't know how he made the curve. But anyway, that being said, overall, I think mostly it's going to be patrolling. We can put all the signs you want up, and just need some patrols out there probably to visually, maybe the people get the hint that they're being watched.
There was some discussion about speed bumps inside that subdivision along 30th there.
Yeah, the only thing is about speed bumps, I'm not a fan of them because there's two things that I don't really like about them, and one is for snow removal, and the other thing is I don't know what the liability issue is for those. Somebody hits that and loses control, I'm assuming we'd be liable because we placed that speed bump there. We would have to sign them as well. So then that's extra posts and signs being put in those people's property. I know the speed signs, they'll be okay. It'll be one right by a mailbox there, which won't be a bad deal for putting up the whatever we decide here today, 15, 20, or 25, so. The other thing they requested too was dead ends. I would suggest to put those on the speed limit signs, the new ones that going into that subdivision. The only other thing I can think of why those trucks, it's got to be an addressing problem in Google or Google Maps that these semis are getting in there and stuck in there, so.
Well, going back to the speed bump, I mean, can they be temporary? I mean, take them out during the winter time so it's not a hassle for you to move snow?
I suppose you still have to put a warning signs up for those.
You know, Corey had a good idea. They got these portable speed zones. If you're ever working on the highways and you come up to a flagger, you're coming out, they got these, you just drag them along, so they'll really get your attention, but they're not real aggressive. They're kind of movable. We could try some of them.
And out in that area is a big recreational area. I see a lot of people walking a lot out there. You got private golf cart owners bringing their golf carts to the golf course.
Yes.
And then even out at the lake there's guys that have their, golf carts. And so there's a lot of slower moving things out in that area. But I've been out on the course and people go by there, and whether it's on a crotch rocket or whatever, and get the golfer's attention, or, there's some people that do zoom through there, so.
So these speed bumps that you're talking about, you want them placed in that subdivision or on the golf course road up 8th Street?
I think in the subdivision.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that would be, I mean, along that major road going around the golf course, I mean, that would probably be not a great idea there, but.
I think overall, one speed bump maybe going into that first on 30th would probably be good, because I really don't see a issue too much on that west entrance that goes in, because it does like a horseshoe loop inside there.
Sure.
I don't, but
So your
whatever you guys
recommendation,
would like, so.
so your recommendation is, according to the sketch, replace the 20-mile-an-hour speed limit with a 15?
We do not have any speed limits in that
Okay,
subdivision.
but on the map, there's some, you know, you have
Yep.
35, 35. and
They
then-
have a 20, that's where the residents
Oh, this is the-
requested.
okay.
They requested that. The reason why I say 15 is because the Decker one is 15 as well, and that's way better condition than road-wise, and it's wider over there. I was surprised it was at 15 as well over there, but I mean, I would think 15 would be sufficient in that
We actually
area.
have one of the residents here, I mean, I think 15 would be, they'd be preferred?
Could you step up to the podium?
Yeah,
Could you step to the podium or?
And then what would be the period that you put them out from, like Memorial Day to Labor Day? Take them,
Far as speed bump,
yeah, put them in and take them out.
we can, yeah. I mean, we
those-
can take them anytime if we're doing a portable type.
Are those, portable rubble strips more aggressive than a regular rubble strip?
Oh, yeah.
So it'll definitely get their attention.
Oh, yeah. Boat might jump off the trailer.
You just want to state your name for the record.
Morning, I'm Rick Melmer. I've been a resident of Patterson Lake for about 45 years. And I can tell you things that have really changed out there. First of all, I got a couple of, I'd like to publicly thank Al Heiser and his crew, especially for snow removal. Like I said, I've lived out there for a long time. And the last several years, the snow removal and the guys that have been working out there have been fantastic. So,
That'd be me, that's my route.
well, you're doing, Al, you're doing a hell of a job. I'd also like to publicly thank Corey Lee and his staff. They've increased patrols out there in the last several years, and that has helped tremendously. The demographics out there have changed dramatically in the last several years. When I first moved out there, I think there was like 3 of us that lived out there full-time at the whole lake. Now everybody is out there full-time. There's maybe 1 or 2 part-timers. And there's all kinds of extra houses out there along 8th. I counted the children along that little short stretch of 8th Street there the other day, me and my wife. There's 18 children living on that street, okay? I have personally seen vehicles on that street, I know they're driving 50 miles an hour. And the traffic survey that you did, I saw it. And it amazed me how much traffic is out there now along 30th, along 8th. A lot of it is going out to the boat docks. My wife and I walk out there a lot. A lot of the people walk out there. We walk in the ditches and stuff. When in the wintertime, you can't walk in the ditch. You got to walk on the street, you know. But I personally see a lot of people going 60 and 70 out there. And I thought there was a lot until I seen the traffic survey. And there's a lot more than I thought. A lot more traffic and a lot more speeders, you know. Something has to be done. Because I'm telling you, somebody's going to get killed out there, and it's probably going to be one of those little kids. It's going to happen. I personally have almost been run over out there on 8th. No, I'm sorry, on 30th. That little stretch of road there. I know the guy was doing 60 miles an hour. I know a lady over at Little Hales is walking toward the boat docks. She almost got run over. It's happened several times out there, so it's only a matter of time. The rumble strip or whatever you put up there, speed bump or whatever.
Strips, they just lay on the highway, so when you come out, it gets your attention. So if there's a flagger on a state highway they're paving, it slows you down. But we can put the regular speed bumps in, and we can put a grommet in the ground and remove them in the wintertime.
That would be a great idea along 30th. I don't think, talking to the people on Little Hales, they have a speeding problem on Little Hales. They have a speeding problem till when you get up to Little Hales and then turn towards the boat docks. That's where the problem is on 8th, up on that end. Once you get into Little Hales, it's not a problem. You can't hardly speed in there. It's just such a small little. But along 30th, there is a problem there, and that's where we were requesting the speed bumps. I'd like to address the portable traffic signs, the flashing signs. Some people say, well, they don't work. And you're right about one thing. You can put up all the signs you want, and how do you enforce it? That's where we're asking for increased, even more increased patrols out there. I know you guys are overloaded, and I know you're understaffed. We just appreciate anything extra you can do for us, Corey. But I've personally watched that sign that you put up on States, going home from work, and I've seen it. It works for me. That sign starts flashing, and you're doing 45, and you don't even realize it because you're coming down the hill, and you see that sign flashing, and you slow down. And I've watched other people, everybody, they see that sign, and everybody, you see the brake lights. Every person that goes by that, you see the brake lights. There's no patrolman there or anything, but it slows people down. They do work. I've personally seen it. Now watch it. You had it there out there for several weeks, and so I wouldn't mind. I've seen those smaller ones, and they're actually on posts, and they're not quite as fancy as the one on the trailer.
That's the trailer, must have been Corey's.
You had the trail. Yeah, yeah.
And that catches me speeding. It's a bad spot to come over that hill.
It is. It is. You just kind of forget about yourself, you know. And so they do work.
We'll put the post-mounted ones up.
That would be great. That would be great. That'd be fantastic. So yeah, anything you guys can do. And the dead end sign, it's kind of funny. So how do trucks end up out there? There was a Walmart truck out on 30th last night. A Walmart semi out on 30th. I'm pretty sure he wasn't delivering to any of the houses out there. People get lost out there all the time, you know, semis and stuff. And once you get in there to get a semi truck out of there, now you're in real trouble. And they'll come down onto that dead end on Patterson Lake Drive there. Oh boy, now they're in big trouble because they have nowhere to go. So the dead end sign there would really be a big help. Yeah, and
Mostly on 30th, or is it both both entrances would probably be best?
Both.
Right?
Yes, yes, yes. And we had talked about the speed limit out there, you know, dropping it to 20. And we thought, well, that might be too big of an ask to go to 15. But that's actually what we would prefer. So I'm glad you brought that up. So, you guys got any questions?
Lake life is a little slower, so. So would you prefer the bump or the strips, or?
I would prefer something as aggressive as we can get it. If we got a 15-mile-an-hour speed limit out there, something that you can go over at 15 miles an hour without losing control, right?
Speed bump would definitely get your attention.
Yeah.
You know, and I realize, you know, you're gonna want to remove it in the winter,
Sure.
but the traffic goes down significantly in the wintertime out there. Summertime is our problem, our biggest problem. So.
Would the speed bump be more efficient right before the entrance into the 30th?
Well, I think just as you go on to 30th, you know, after you turn in, you can make the turn to go to the west on 8th, or you can go on to 30th. I think right there when you go on to 30th, I think that's where you'd want it, because that's
right where the sign would be.
that's where you'd be entering the 15-mile-an-hour speed limit,
So
right?
when do you feel that traffic picks up? Memorial Day, that weekend it starts, and then Labor Day?
As soon as it starts getting nice out.
Okay.
As soon as it starts getting warm out, people start coming out because they want to get out of their houses and stuff, and you know. And until we get our first big snowfall and stuff, But yeah, in the summertime.
It could be April till November, it could be May through.
It depends on the weather. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I think once school starts, it slows down somewhat.
Yeah.
You know. Yeah. All right.
Okay, it's Rick.
Thank you.
I got one more thing on this, over on the way west end, there should be a 20-mile-an-hour speed limit sign. I do not know if that's our responsibility or the city, Parks and Rec.
Where at now?
It's on that, if you look on that picture, it'd be
Yeah.
the farthest to the
Oh, coming
west
off.
end.
Yeah.
Where the boat dock is, back in there. It loops around, I'm thinking it's called Little Hales Drive, or not Little Hales Court, but you go past it to the loop.
Turn to go to the boat docks.
Yeah, they have speed bumps on that road.
Yes, you know what they do with those speed bumps?
Yeah, they
Take the ditch.
take the ditch, yep. And there's no speed limit sign coming there's a speed limit sign going in, which is 20, and then coming out, there's no speed limit sign. So there should be one placed as coming out, could be placed there, but I know it's on your map as being requested for one. But I don't know, does the county need to put that up?
Well, can it be outside of that? I mean, that property line there, I think that's Dickinson Parks and Rec.
Correct.
there. So just outside of that, going back east?
No,
along-
that would be, we have 35 posted there
Okay.
now
Okay.
on that road segment. So that 8th Street is 35 all the way through, and same from St. Joe's Cemetery north is 35. But I'm saying in there, that would be Parks and Rec, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, so they would have to be notified for that.
So the speed bumps don't work?
Not the ones out on the gravel road going out to the boat docks.
They go around them.
After you get off 8th, and now you're in park board land, it's a gravel road. And there's speed bumps on there, they just go around the speed bumps through the ditch.
The ditches are flat enough where they can get out there and go around them. Yeah.
Pass them. I pass them.
And the other thing is with the speed limit, as far as ordering signs, that we're 3 to 4 weeks out to get signs. Because I just placed an order, and I could probably get it on that same order, but it'd probably be 3 to 4 weeks before we see signs available, unless I can track some down from.
We may have some.
From the, we don't.
Flashers? Or
No,
do
no,
you have those in hand?
15s. 15s I'm talking
The
about, if they go
flashing ones with the
15 or
speed
20.
boards, do you have those on hand?
Yes, we have 2 that were in the city of Gladstone. We're gonna just pull those out of the city of Gladstone. They've been there for a while. We move them wherever we want. They're showing in Gladstone average speeds are at 25, which is what it's posted, so we can take those 2. They already have a speed bump on the sign already, but we'll have to take those off, so.
Well, I appreciate both of you I
And
called
then
you
one
guys
more
about
thought
this.
on the track hole that Al was talking about. It is very beneficial to the road department, far as taking out bridges. And we have some guys that are very talented with that machine, and they can also probably tackle a box culvert if needed. Placing one, they know how to do it, and they've done it before where they've worked prior to working for us, so. Yes, it's a beneficial machine,
Yeah,
definitely.
and my question isn't the benefit of it, is
It
whether
is.
you lease it or buy it,
Yep, I just
right?
wanted to make that point,
Yep.
though. Yep, thank you.
Yeah, Thank you.
Just one final thing, I think everything they requested out there is fine. We'll take care of it, we'll get the speed bumps ordered, get the signs ordered. And one thing about the speed bumps over there, if they're gonna go around, they're gonna drive in somebody's lawn, except on the one side, and the ditch isn't conducive to just wheeling in there. So, and then one other thing, I'll let Jeremy do it, I'm very excited today. We're getting pavement on our bypass. That's been a long time coming, and it's really gonna be beneficial to our county to get that done, so.
One more thing. Sorry, guys. We do need a decision on what speed limit.
Being the middle, we need a motion.
For
or
that
anything.
that area, if it's 20 or 15 or 25, whatever you guys prefer, so.
Well, with the recommendation you gave us, I'd move we go to 15.
I would agree.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Gonna make that a motion in a second?
So
Yes.
it'll, yes. So we're gonna go 15 inside the subdivision, that Patterson Lake area, right?
Yep.
Patterson Lake Drive area. And then you're gonna, okay, and all the other recommendations, we'll leave it in your hands. I mean, you
Yeah,
guys know
well,
what's
I think
going on.
Todd's got a real good handle on it.
Yeah.
What we need to put and where to put it. And if we got any questions, we'll talk to Mr. Melmer and he'll help guide us where we need him.
So I would make the motion, Mr. Chairman, to move the or place a speed limit sign of 15 miles per hour at the intersection of 30th and 8th Street entering.
I already got a
subdivision.
motion out there, so you want
Do
me
we?
to rescind my motion? or
Oh,
what?
no, I didn't realize, I'm sorry. I'll second it, how about that?
There we go.
All right.
Okay. Any other discussion? All in favor, state aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carried.
One other thing I want you guys to start thinking about is on 32nd, many years ago, when the Bodding or gravel pit was really aggressive, we had a lot of trucks falling on it. The commission put the speed limit down to 35. So people kind of got used to that 35 there. When you get over by 108th, there's some residential there. They're going to come and they're going to want that reduced. It's going to be very hard to drive 35 on that paved road when it's done. And I mean, Todd did a study, so we kind of got the numbers, what the traffic is, and what's the average, like 45? So the speed isn't excessive, but I due respect to the people that live there, I told her we'll do a study, but that is going to come before you, so think about it. Thank you.
Just a second now. Did you, want to do anything on that compaction wheel? Were you looking to purchase that?
Well, it's really good to have the compaction wheel, so, I mean, if we get the machine, we just look at the wheel, because that's what gets compaction. You gotta compact the pipes in. If you don't pack them in, they wash out, especially when you take a bridge out, so you gotta get good density around them pipe to keep them in there, so.
So
yeah.
Are you renting that now?
No. There was none available. They'd have to get a new one. Otherwise, I would have one.
Is that brand specific or is it?
They're like JCB. It's a brand. A coupler. See, the machine's got a quick coupler. It's equipped with hydraulics, so you could put a hammer on it. You could put a thumb on it. It's set up right, but we don't have the compaction wheel. You can just drop the bucket off in the cab and put the wheel on. And like Todd said, we got two guys that are really talented when it comes to putting pipe in. So
are you looking to purchase this then, right?
if we can, but I think the consensus was maybe just wait till next month and kind of think about it a little more. I kind of surprised everybody this morning with it, so.
Well, the compaction wheel's separate from the unit itself.
Right.
And that JRB compaction wheel is 8,000.
Yep. They're expensive.
How often are you renting
We'd use it
one?
every time we put a pipe in. Every time we'd use a hole, we'd use a compaction wheel. Now we just got to take a motorized motor grade or something to compact next to the pipe.
What does it cost to rent one?
The wheel?
Yeah.
The problem is they just don't have them sitting in the yard for rent. Otherwise, we'd have one. So. Thank you.
Add that to their discussion next month then.
So we need to make a motion then to put $5,800 for July bills for the rental.
I can get it from Sherry exactly what it is. You got that exact amount? I'm not sure exactly what it is, but.
Okay.
It's
I'll-
5974, L.
Okay. 5974.
I'll make a motion to put $5,974 of rental fees for this unit on July's bills to be paid.
We have a motion to have a second.
I'll second.
Second. Roll call then. Commissioner White,
Aye.
Commissioner Marsh,
Aye.
Commissioner Claris,
Aye.
Commissioner Masser.
Aye.
And Chair votes aye, motion carried. And move on to KLJ.
Morning, Andrew
Morning.
Krebs with KLJ, here to just give you a brief update on our projects. So the roundabout, we're currently working on the utility conflict drawings. We're working on the pavement design and the environmental document. The traffic study, the DOT reviewed that and then had a few minor comments, so we just updated and resent it in, and now they're good with that. We also received SHPO concurrence on our no historic properties affected determination. As far as this chip seal goes, all work has been completed except for cutting of the spotting tabs, which they plan to come back once their chip sealing's done for the year, which is typically in September. So progressive estimate number 1 and number 2 were both approved by the DOT for this project, so they should be paid up to date for that. And then the DOT, they also completed their final inspection on the project on July 23rd. They said it looked really good. So all work should pretty much be done and except those spotting tabs, and then we'll begin working on the project final for that. The project overall, I think once they pay out the rest of the mold on it, it'll end up about $25,000 under the bid amount. So, are there any questions?
Any questions? Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Next, do interstate engineering.
Mr. Chairman, good morning. Very brief this morning. We have completed the permitting process and have submitted our final plan set to the state. All the easements are secured, and our confirmed bid date is this Friday, August 9th.
Okay,
Any questions?
any questions or? Okay.
Thanks.
Okay. Anybody here from Highland Engineering? No, okay. We'll do Northern Plains then.
Good morning, Commission. Got some pretty brief updates on a few different projects. 131st, that federal aid bridge projects over by Belfield. The work is done. We're just waiting for a final inspection, trying to coordinate that with the DOT, but that project is ready for the final inspection. 41st, 109th, and 114th. Those three streets are being worked on, and two of them are done. The other one should be done, I would think, later this week. So that's wrapping up here fairly soon. Sorry about that. The other project Al had mentioned it, the paving project on 32nd and 107. Paving got started yesterday. Got a little bit of a slow start. I guess there's a picture up there, video even. Kind of got a late start yesterday with the weather, but things are going fairly well. I got a few of the little things kind of worked out, so things are going to go, I think, a lot better from now on. Maybe Neil, maybe you've seen it. Got a couple scrapers working on the intersection of Highway 10 and 107th. If you remember, we're looking at putting in a dedicated left turn lane, or for the what would be the eastbound to northbound traffic. So that's what those two scrapers are doing. We're also looking at putting in a dedicated right turn lane for the westbound traffic that would go north onto 107th. So there's kind of a flurry of activity with dirt work. I think Al's crew is going to do the graveling, and then CSI, the Central Specialty crew that's doing the paving, is doing the paving. So that all has to happen here in about 10 days. So a lot of different things going on. So that's kind of a separate project from the flex funding that we have. The flex funding itself was about 7.5 million, so that should all be included in the 32nd 107. We have a special reimbursement form from the DOT, which is, I think, close to $800,000, which I would recommend chairman to sign that so we can get reimbursed, because how that reimbursement works is you pay the contractor and then you get reimbursed from the state. I don't know how that is really going to work. That's how it should work, but it's kind of a new program, so there's probably little hiccups, but I would strongly recommend chairman to sign that so you can get that reimbursement request to the DOT for that. Other than that, I think that's about all I had for that project. Like I said, a lot of things have to happen in the next couple weeks.
So which direction are you running that paving, from the west to the east, or?
They're generally running on 107th south to north.
Okay.
They're going to get the bottom lift on that, and then they're going to go westbound on 32nd to get the bottom lift on everything covered in the event that we get more rain. And then they'll probably drop back and repeat the process. Yeah, but there's going to be 3 lifts of asphalt, so it may look like it's paved, and it is paved, but it's not done. It's going to be three separate lifts.
Neil, did you want to, remember we talked briefly this morning about maybe an acceleration lane going west off 107?
Well, yeah, I think 2 reasons. Number one, if we're doing this, it's going to be heavily used. It's already, the grain traffic and the industrial traffic has increased. I think we should do it right rather than go on the short on that. So if we have the assets and the ability to do that, I'd like to see us do it. But, I think that's your recommendation, Jeremy.
That doesn't have to be that long, Jeremy, just for people to duck out, or what's your opinion on that?
Well, it might make sense because, you're kind of coming up a grade once you leave 107. To the west it might be warranted a little bit more when you have that grade. As far as the length, I don't really know, but you're right. I mean, if we're going to do it in the next 10 years, now's the time to do it.
Right.
When you got the equipment and the paving company there and everything. So, yeah, I mean, that's something we can easily add to the project. If
I
there's
think the
consensus
funds
to
are
it.
available to do it, and not only that, the separation isn't that deep there, so it's not like it's gonna take a huge amount of dirt or a huge amount of gravel. We'd probably strip it off and maybe just put gravel in to accommodate that turn lane,
Okay.
or acceleration lane, I should say.
Well, I agree. I don't know what the other guys think, but. So we need two motions, one to authorize the chair to sign the contract,
Sign the reimbursement.
reimbursement
Yep.
payment.
That should be probably one separate motion.
Okay, so I would move that we do that.
Not second.
A motion and a second. Any other discussion? All in favor, state aye. Aye. Those opposed, motion carried.
And then I would make a motion that the road department and Northern Plains Engineering complete the intersection of 107 and 10 with an acceleration lane included at their specifics or recommendation.
I'd second that as well.
A motion and a second. Any other discussion? All in favor, state aye.
Aye.
Aye. Was opposed, motion carried. Thank you.
Thanks, guys. I think that's gonna be a real asset to that road, and people are gonna feel a lot safer. If somebody's making a left-hand turn, at least you can go around them. That's a great idea.
Is that documentation ready for me to sign or that, or I haven't seen? For the reimbursement?
Yeah, I should have it. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Okay,
Good morning.
morning.
This will be really fast because I have to get my car and head to Medora and then beach for commission meetings. So you lucked out. I don't have to talk very long. I did mail these out. I'm not sure if you had a chance to look at them. Really, we're holding even for the fourth year. Oh, by the way, I'm Sherry Adams for Southwestern District Health Unit, and I'm the executive officer. We were able to hold even one more year, and I'm very happy to be able to do that. We did get a couple additional grants that have been put through. And so with those two additional grants, one being a workforce grant and one being an overall immunization grant, that kind of has held even with some of the things that we're experiencing on the cash in side. The local public health units are going to legislation to try to get another increase in state aid. That will, I think, be dependent on whether or not the property tax measure goes through. But that is our intention, is to try to get additional state aid dollars to go to the 28 health units. Really no changes in the overall budget. There's a few extra cash in items, a few cash out items. I did put for an increase in salary and or fringe. I don't know how much insurance is going to go up over the next year, but if the insurance goes up a lot, staff understand that's also an increase in their salary. So it'll kind of just depend where that line item goes. The only other real difference is we have had to put in a little extra money for equipment. Our lab autoclave is needing to be replaced, but also there's some upgrades to Windows going from 10 to 11 or something, and IT things, being able to do that. But anyway, just a couple positive things. Really appreciate working with your emergency manager. She's awesome. We do a lot of things together, so thank you for that. And then we need at least 3 of you at the health unit on August 13th, so that's only next week at 6 o'clock. There was a request to go to Bernie's, but it'll be at the health unit instead. And there was a request for prime rib, but there will not be prime rib. So, but we still want you to come. There'll be sandwiches.
I got satellite brains there.
There you go. Do you guys have any specific questions?
Any questions?
I also support the aging bill that's coming, or the aging budget that's coming up as well, but I have to dash out. So thank you, guys. I appreciate all your hard work. Corey has been on the calls a lot, and so we appreciate him being as part of our board as well. So I guess that's it.
See you on the 10th.
See you
Or the 13th.
on the 13th. You can come see me on the 10th too if you like.
Fair enough.
Thanks. Okay, somebody here from domestic violence at all? No? Okay, we'll do the Dickinson Airport then, Mr. Braun.
Good morning.
Morning.
Kelly Braun with the Dickinson Airport. And with me this morning is Tom Schauer with Mead and Hunt. Mead and Hunt is the airport's engineering consultant firm. Couple of things for you guys this morning. I've got a preliminary budget that I asked Karen to put in your packs. This is mostly just for information. It's got our income and our expenditures on two separate pages there. And like I said, this is just mostly just an FYI. The airport over the last couple of years has been able to budget their resources appropriately. We've not had any budget shortfalls, which is good. But we continue to run right up to the edge of our operating expenses. Just a little background, the airport requests 4 mills every year from the city, and we request 1 mill from the county every year. And those mills are used primarily as operating funds, just routine operating expenses for the airport, and then the remainder of the funds that we need to operate the airport come from revenues that we generate and landing fees, leases, and such. So yeah, the budget is just a FYI, and mostly to highlight the fact that the airport doesn't really generate a whole lot of income to fund big projects. As you guys know, the airport just recently completed its multi-year, multi-phased runway reconstruction project, which is much, much needed. And that completion of that project has allowed the airport to operate smoothly and at a great benefit to its users, the commercial airlines and corporate traffic that comes in and out. So appreciate your past support on that. As the airport moves forward, we're looking at constructing a brand new airport terminal. The airport did a terminals study, which looked at our old terminal and then looked at a proposed new terminal on a greenfield site. And save you guys a little time for me rambling on, that study basically determined that the most appropriate move forward with regards to the terminal is to build a brand new terminal on a greenfield site. It's going to take quite an effort between all the agencies involved, the FAA, the state aeronautics, and of course local support here with the county and cities, and hopefully some additional county support from some of our neighbors, Dunn County and Billings County. With that, I'm going to turn this over to Tom, and Tom's going to go through a little presentation on our terminal and where we're at and why we're here today, and then we'll stand for any questions that you guys may have. Tom?
Good morning. As Kelly said, I'm Tom Schauer with Mead and Hunt. I'll go through this as quickly as I can, so I apologize if I'm a little quick, but at the end, we'll ask Stan for any questions. Just real quick, I'm not going to go through a lot of these slides we use when we talk to the federal government and federal agencies, state agencies that may not be familiar. But one of the things I did want to mention is we are trying to tie this project as closely as we can to accommodate any increased growth tied to the Theodore Roosevelt National Park and some of those. Getting down to the brass tacks of things, right now your existing terminal has about 10,000 square feet in it, and it has served you well over the years. But as you know, a lot of this terminal has been kind of expanded as money has allowed. It never really had the level of traffic you had seen over the oil boom and the growth we've seen in western North Dakota over the years. So right now we're seeing a lot of issues with the existing terminal. And those go along with some of the growth we've seen. If you look over the last 20 years, you can see the oil spike in there, but you can also see the constant growth that we've seen in western North Dakota and how that's affected your airport. And so we don't see that changing. We see that continuing to grow. Generally, as the population goes up, that's what we tend to see as well. Right now, you have one service from Dickinson to Denver, and So we're always looking for any other growth that we can get. So it's one of those things that, as Kelly does his efforts on things, trying to get more service is always part of it. But having a good terminal, having a good runway are keys to that.
I'd just like to point out too on this particular slide, you know, when you take out those, that big mountain for the spike, when we had the oil boom going on, and then of course the dip during the pandemic, nationwide, you know, employment numbers across the country just took a nosedive, and we have recovered from that. We've seen over the last 18 months or so above employment numbers over where we were previously, so we're completely recovered, and we continue to see incremental gains in those employment numbers as time goes on.
A couple of things going on that people that don't deal in the industry might not realize. In addition to the increased growth, one of the things that's happening is TSA is constantly changing their rules and different items like that. One of the, for those of you flying out of there, the way bags are screened in Dickinson is uniquely different than other, the larger airports like Bismarck, Fargo, where they're actually running the equipment through, or your bags through a screening, a device that checks them. Because of the size of the existing airport, that cannot be done, so they're hand checked. That creates issues, causes delays, things like that. So moving to the next step of this in size, that will all be baked in and can accommodate that with flexibility for some of the changes in TSA's screening process. One other item that I think is important, right now generally with airports this size they're seeing is 50-passenger aircraft. Those aircraft fleet are being phased out of the market for air carriers, and you're gonna see a jump to like the 76-passenger aircraft. So as we go through that, your hold rooms, different things like that tend to be even more undersized than they are today. The existing airport leaves a lot of areas of ADA requirements that are not being met. Those would all be brought into standards. And so those are kind of the key things that are going. The existing structure that was there really wasn't ever designed when it was put in for jet traffic, and you're seeing that aircraft fleet has gone from 19 passenger, 34 passenger, 50 passenger. Now we're seeing it roughly at 76. We're also looking at if by chance there were charters that wanted to come in and out, the ability to try to accommodate that as well, so giving you a flexibility to react to the future.
Two things that I'd like to point out too. You know, we've already seen requests from the airlines to bring in larger aircraft, particularly the CRJ 700. What's happening right now is our airplanes are full. So if there's any disruption in service whatsoever, being able to reaccommodate the passengers that are traveling through here is very challenging, and you quite usually cannot be completed in one day. It may take a day or 2 days just to get an available seat to come in to get those folks reaccommodated. So that's a big issue, and because of that, we've had a number of requests to upgauge and bring in those CRJ 700s to alleviate that backlog. The other item of note is the terminal itself. Like Tom said, you know, when they designed and built this terminal back in the early 2000s, we had Beech 1900s, 19-seat aircraft, and it was great back in the day. But we've come a long way since, and we continue to see those traveler numbers increase. So quite undersized.
As we went into the planning study, I'm from North Dakota as well. We're a fiscally conservative group of people in our state, which is very nice. So when we look at things, first question people always want to know is why wouldn't you use the existing facility? What can we do to expand? Let's not waste a perfectly good building. We did go through and look at that, and these were the two locations on the left, and the red is the existing airport site, and then the greenfield site on your right. I won't tell you what color it is because I'm colorblind, so it'd be just a guess. So as we went through that, some of the things on the existing site, just to highlight, is the airport terminal when it was built, we have a ARF station to the immediate left on the screen. We also have snow removal equipment building. We have the arrival and departure building and things like that that are constraining it. There's also limited areas to grow on the south side of the terminal for parking expansions. So as we went through this study, we look at, and I'm not expecting you to read each of these, but we go through every area of a terminal and go through and look at each one, and at the end you consolidate it into one location as to what really you should be looking at. So what you had before was roughly about 10,000 square feet. What we're looking at right now to accommodate you for the next 20 years is about 2,600 to 33,000, or 26,000 to 33,000 square feet. Obviously wanting to minimize that to the extent we can, being as cost effective as possible, but also wanting to give you the flexibility to react to the future. Having said that, some of the things that we looked at and just wanted to highlight on the existing terminal, you know, obviously it's always nice to reuse existing facilities. That does add value. It does, you know, give also the taxpayer a good perception that we're doing the right thing with taxpayer money. It sometimes can give you an overall project cost that's different, but one of the things when you're phasing an existing building, it is tough to rebuild something while you're in the middle of using it. So the phasing elements are very complex. As we get closer to that, we have really limited expandability. One of the things we want to make sure that what we build today, as you grow as a community, as an area in the western North Dakota, that you have the ability to expand without constraints. So we want to make sure we're looking at the future as well. Like I said, as a cons on that, complex phasing, longer construction period because you have to phase things and do different items. Those can drive costs up. There's some different structural modifications that are part of this. I won't get into all that. And then the thermal field that is the geothermal is not easily put on that site. Some of the things on the Greenfield site, phasing costs are much easier. Cost of construction in certain areas are lower. We would do a more sustainable build, so you'd have more LED lighting, more energy efficient heating cooling systems, so your ongoing cost of operations would be lower. Things like that are really the two items that we looked at going into it. This has been actually in future plans, or the existing plans for the future that was done with the runway. This has actually been environmentally cleared back when the runway was, just in case. Sometimes you're doing major environmental analysis, it's easier to include more than less. So that has also been some of the positives on that. Again, this is kind of an overview on the south side of the airfield, and it just has the different layers of different things where you'd have parking coming off of the roadway and turning lane in and out, what the apron would look like, the size of the airport, different things, and how it'd be just configured. Again, you'll notice expandability for parking, expandability for the actual terminal building, as well as the existing apron. Just a feel for what the general shape and layout would be of the terminal. This is roughly what it would look like. As we go into schematic design, this will be worked in more detail, putting in heating, cooling systems, things like that, and further analyze and narrow down, obviously, and all those interior decorators and all that would be involved. The goal I always tell our interior decorators is we want things nice, but not so nice. If they look extravagant, you better have a dang good answer as to why it looks extravagant. So, hey, it looks expensive, it's just not. So we realize money is a big issue. When we get into projects like this, roughly what we're looking at is this is about a 26,000. The overall build for everything is about 46.5 million. And just to give you a feel, I'm not going to go back through all the pros and cons. This is just a drawing of, or a sketch of, or a chart of the type of airports that are similar in nature. And so you can see right now the existing terminal for the size, which is on the left side, the emplanements is on the bottom. And we can make this available to you at the end of this as well. But Dickinson is quite small for the level of emplanements. Our goal is always to right size a terminal building without being too big. So we look at what's going on in the industry, trying to make sure that we're not the tall tree in that either. So it's kind of a secondary glance of what makes sense. When you get to projects like this, I always tell airports and their political subdivisions that are involved is these are generational projects. You don't build a new terminal, but once every 20, 30 years. You don't build new runways like you just came off of. Those also, the next time you touch a runway of any major is going to be another 20, 30 years down the road. The costs of construction that we've seen in airport projects, and I tie it to airport projects because we have the Davis-Bacon Act, we have the Buy American requirements, we have all the federal requirements that go through it. We see a notable increase in cost above regular inflationary costs. We have seen since 2000, which was the last time the federal government increased funding, roughly the project costs have gone up about 300%. This last year, the FAA and Congress saw it in their best interest to increase the airport improvement program, but they did it by 20%. So 20% increase for $300 or 300% increase in cost doesn't work well in my math. So as we look at this, what we're seeing across the country and what we're pushing here is trying to work with the FAA to get as much federal funding as we can. But their share on projects like terminals are not very robust. We would hope to get 10 million with them. We'll be asking for the various types of funding, and those really break down into entitlements, which are something that Kelly and the crew get on a regular basis without competition, and that's based on emplanements. We have the Airport Improvement Program discretionary, which is at the discretionary of the FAA. And then we have Bill ATP, so the funding that came out as the bipartisan infrastructure law that had terminal projects. We're asking for both those from the FAA. They've already gave us a pretty lukewarm intention. Behind the scenes, we've told them, I said, look, we're pushing for the state and local and everybody to come to the table. My opinion, and for those who don't know, I used to be the FAA's Airports District Office Manager for North and South Dakota. Said, you guys look pretty silly if we come to the table with 75% of the budget and you guys aren't willing to come with 25. So we're pushing them hard for that. We have also, Kelly and myself, along with 2 other airports, have been meeting with the governor's staff, lead senators, and lead representatives for the state, trying to garner additional state funding. Like I said, these are generational projects, and everybody needs to come to the table to help make this lift. And it's one of those things that airports, sometimes people that don't fly in and out don't realize that they affect every part of our lives, whether it's air ambulance, whether it's aerial application, whether it's people flying in and out to do business in your community. So we just think this is a great project. Reason we're here today is we want to make sure you guys are well informed of that. And as we go through it, roughly the summary on the dollars is we're hoping to keep the budget at 46.5 million. Of that, we're hoping to get federal about 10 to 15, state of 30, and local between 2 to 5. We can tell you prices are, you roll the dice some days. So when we say 46.5, I always tell people, I said, there's no promises. We do the best we can to keep prices in control. I can tell you right now, the state and federal numbers are not going to go up. So as Kelly and the Airport Authority and the City of Dickinson work through these issues, that number is going to have to be flexible amongst everybody that's willing to come to the table. Having said that, Kelly, I don't know if you have anything else you want to wrap up on? Or?
Yeah, thanks for that, Tom. Appreciate it. Again, just to note, I think it's important on the state funding aspect. So the federal funds, we've got our grant applications in. Bill funding, as Tom mentioned, he said it was lukewarm. I would say it was probably ice cold on those bill funds. Doesn't look like a promising as we hope. But the grant application's in, and who knows. But regardless, 10, 15 from the feds, but more importantly, the state funding. So as Tom mentioned, the Fargo Airport, the Grand Forks Airport, and the Dickinson Airport, all 3 have major projects going on, as Tom called them, generational projects. These are projects that come along every 20 or 30 years, and the Dickinson Airport Terminal is part of that. We've met with the governor's staff. It will be part of the governor's proposed budget, these 3 airport projects. We met with senior leadership, with the state legislature, and everyone so far has been very supportive of all 3 of these projects, Dickinson's commercial terminal included. And today is basically the ask and the preparation for the local share, which we're going to have to raise between Stark County, Dunn County, Billings County, and the city of Dickinson. So 5 million spread across all those entities should be a pretty easy task to do. But as Karen can attest, this is the silly season. Everyone is asking for budgets, and inflationary costs are out of control. So hopefully these numbers are sound, and they remain sound over the next couple of years. We're in the midst of the design for the terminal right now, and when we're all done, we should have a working set of plans that we can go out and hopefully get some good bids. So if anybody has any questions, I'd love to answer.
Stark County, the first county you've come to?
You are, yep.
Okay.
Yep. We'll be meeting with the city this afternoon, giving him this same presentation.
Kelly, quick question for you. Tom had talked about the upgrades in the fleet coming to here from the 50 to the 76. I'm assuming the airline makes that decision, right?
Correct, yep.
Okay.
Yep.
So have you had conversations in that regard? What are the decisions or what's the criteria for the airline to say, other than employments, when you talk about, we have a facility now, we think it warrants going from 50 to 76. What are those conversations? What's the criteria?
Yeah, so it's a great question. Really, what's driving this right now is the fact that the aircraft that currently provide service to Dickinson, the 50-seaters, those are going away. And the aircraft to replace them is 76, and that's the floor. I mean, that if you want commercial service, that's the bottom. And like I said before, we've had conversations with the airline where they want to bring them in. We just can't accommodate them at this point in time. And then moving forward, if you look 10 years, 20 years out, it's going to be dramatically different again. 76, it's all a matter of economics, right? Can we make money with a 76-seat aircraft or can we not? And the answer to that is always more seats, right? Less routes, more seats, upgauging. So 10, 20 years from now, we'll very likely see larger aircraft with seating of, 100 or so seats.
Okay, thank you.
I had a question. So I'm looking at your plan, and I mean, you've got 2 jet bridges there. Is that to accommodate a second carrier? Is that the idea?
Yep.
And would that second carrier, would that affect our essential air service status?
Some good questions in there. So first, we'll start with the jet bridges. So as we put this plan together, we'll have 1 jet bridge with the ability to expand to a second one if the demand is there in the future. We won't put 2 of those in right off the bat. We'll start with 1. Jet bridges are very expensive. They're in excess of $1 million just for the little piece that sticks out from the building. So 1 of those off the bat, and with the ability to add a second one. Additional airlines. So the essential air service, we kind of went through this during the boom when we had Delta and United here. And if the airport elected to bring in additional service, then the service that is here currently would become at-risk service, which means that the airline is at risk of not making any money. So that is there, but I would say similar to the past, those airlines are going to look at their numbers and who's coming and going, and if it makes sense, they're going to continue to provide service.
One other item on that is you mentioned the great question on the 2 jet bridges. What we will lay out is 2 parking spots. The jet bridge, 1 jet bridge can service both. So what that does for you is if by chance you had 2, you don't have to buy a jet bridge right away. It also has, if you have a mechanical, you can now bring in another aircraft and service it from that same jet bridge. So again, you're going to hear from me all the time, flexibility. And I always tell people, I've been around long enough that the old days when you used to have more traffic, you used to get bigger aircraft. And then from bigger aircraft, it went down to the regional jets that were the greatest things since sliced bread. Those are the 50 passengers. Now the industry's changing. We're throwing those out saying they're not cost effective. So all we know is the future is going to change. We want to leave you in a spot that's as flexible to react to that as possible.
Okay, any other questions?
I had a question about funding, but go ahead. When would you need to know a local match amount as far as that goes?
Yeah,
My question too. Sorry.
yeah, it's a great question. So typically as these projects come together, right, we expend all the federal funding first, we expend the state funding second, and then towards the end of the project, when we're doing the closeouts, that's when the local funding comes into play. So the local funding is always the last to be expended. So, the end of 26, 27, probably in that time range, when we'll have to have those funds available. So we wanted to get this out early so that everybody could kind of get their head wrapped around what is coming down the pipe should we elect to go forward with this project. So, but those funds, 26, 27, when we'll need to expend those local funds.
Oh,
On the funding of this project, for the most part, is the state funding of 30 million. We would hope to know if that's good by next spring.
oh,
If
okay.
that was to not go forward, I don't see how this project moves forward. So that's, you know, if you're mentioning or speaking with any of your legislators, it's a pretty important part of this, and that's one of the things we're seeing with project costs. These generational projects are not even viable at a local level. And I mean, I deal with this across the country, and we're seeing this everywhere. And one of the speeches I give commonly to different state leaders is, if you as a state aren't coming to the table on these, you're just gonna be living with what you have. And what happens is, as the fleet changes, you're going to find that your ability to supply or meet their demands aren't there, and it's gonna affect you as a community.
So what were you doing with the old terminal? If you build a brand new terminal? what were you
Yes,
doing?
that's a good question. So I've had a couple of conversations with some private entities that are looking at Dickinson to move in some aeronautical activity, but it's a little premature to talk about that publicly at this point. But we'll be looking at repurposing that building if at all possible.
Okay.
I have a question as well. So going back to your state funding, to achieve that state funding, are you going to need a commitment, or are they going to need to see a commitment from the local side prior to them agreeing to something like this?
You know, I think generally it all kind of comes together at the same time, right? As we meet with the state legislators and we give them these presentations, you know, they always ask, well, is there support locally? And I think right now, just the support, right? Yes, we support it. We've seen the numbers. This is something that looks like we can do, and we absolutely support it. So,
So you probably need a support letter to go to the state, and then probably closer to the spring, you would need a pledge,
yeah.
would be
Yes.
my guess.
Yeah. That'd be the easiest way to go about it, yeah.
And the state representatives all mention the mills and different things and where you're reaching from and stuff like that. And, you know, one of the things that Kelly hits on often is how you've got, you know, like on the runway project, broad support from multiple counties, as well as the community of Dickinson, as well as the airport authority. All that goes into it. And as an important part of it, like I said, is everything's pulling together. We also, just as an FYI, is we're working with Senator Hoven, Senator Kramer's office to come up with a delegates letter to go to the FAA to help garner any federal support we can get. In addition to that, we're leaning on them every way possible to garner their funding as well.
So how much was the governor putting into his budget for next year for these projects?
Total is,
There's 2 airports, 3 airports?
3 airports, the request was $120 million. And, you know, that all has to be worked out. A lot of different issues go on. Each community has its own different issues going on. And so as each of the leading senators and representatives, the support locally is one of the things they ask about every time. Mills they're looking at, and then just the general feel, so the ability of a support letter, things like that is great.
Okay.
it should also be, it's important to note, the airport has the ability to leverage 10 additional mills for any airport project. And we've been fortunate that we've been able to accomplish, you know, $140 million worth of improvements over the last 10 years out at the airport. And we have not had to come and ask for additional mills. We've been able to pay for those projects with the funds that we have on hand, which has been super helpful, right, for the taxpayers, not to have to ask for additional mills, which has been very nice. So we hope to continue that. I don't know what the bank account looks like at Stark County, but we hope that we can continue that cash and carry, and that we don't have to ask for additional mills or have to take on debt to get these projects completed.
And with this project, you said that you look for the federal, the state kicks in, and then the local money kicks in towards the end. Are you requesting it all at once? Can it be done over a 25, 26 fiscal year?
So the state funding, we should know by the end of this biennium, right, by the end of this legislative session, whether that 30 million is going to be there. And it's very likely that that would be one chunk payable, you know, or approved during this coming biennium. The federal funding typically is $10 million a year, give or take. So, yeah, I mean, it all kind of comes together.
The federal funds by statute require 5%, well, for the next 2 years are 5% match. So if they came in and they gave us $5 million, we'd have a 5% match on that. What the state agreement kind of was is, look, if you give us the 30 million, we won't ask for the state match. And in lieu of the usually it's split five, you know, whatever you have to pay is split with the state. So there would be some smaller pieces that go into this. Again, if we get the 30 million, that state money historically has been pretty flexible and can go as part of the match. So there's a lot of flexibility in that. But again, everybody's looking to make sure everybody's putting money into the table and that no one walks away at the end, you know, scot-free.
So just so you're aware of the mill side, maximum rate or amount for Airport Authority for the county mill is 4. If you were going to request additional mills, that would be something that would have to be voted on to go over.
Yeah, so
4.
there's language, I can get that for you. There's also language in the state code for the 10 mills, and the 10 mills don't require a voter approval.
But that's a special projects fund, and we do have a special projects fund that is currently being used up by the jail.
I think it's different,
The
but
10
we'll have to
mills?
dig
Yeah,
into it.
you'll have to
but
let me know
yeah.
about that.
Our
So right
goal
now
is
you're
not
at
to have to
1, but you could go up to 4 with the commission approval.
Yeah.
Just so you're aware.
Okay, any other questions? Okay,
When are you gonna come back?
Appreciate your time today.
When do you plan on coming back to see us? I mean, once you start,
Yeah, so I think it would be appropriate, you know, as we move this project forward and we start getting updates in real time, you know, we convey those at the airport meeting every month, and then Corey hopefully brings those forward. Corey's our liaison. But as we move this project forward, we can certainly come in and provide updates on where we're at, what the funding picture is looking at in real time, so that you guys can make some good decisions.
that'd be great.
And I'm guessing the first thing you would need would be a letter of support.
Yeah,
So
yes, yep,
is that something you wanted from the commission now, or are you going to wait till?
that would be great, yes.
Oh, okay.
Well, I guess I would make a motion that we write that letter of support for this and get our end of the ball rolling.
have a motion to have a second.
A second.
Second. Any other discussion? All in favor, state aye.
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 Those opposed? Motion carries. Okay.
Thank
We'll
you
get
very
that
much for your time this
for-
morning.
Okay.
Thank you, Kelly.
Next, we got Vision Zero. Morning.
Good morning. Thank you. Okay. Chairman, Commission Board, my name is Teresa Leach. I've been in front of you before. I think this is my 3rd time in front of the Stark County Commission, so thank you for having me once again. I wanted to give you an update on Vision Zero and what we have accomplished so far since I've joined Vision Zero back in 2020. So just a refresher, our goal is to get down to 0 traffic fatalities and serious injuries on our North Dakota roadways. These are my coworkers. We have a coordinator in Grand Forks, one in Minot, one in Fargo, and then I am in Bismarck, serving the southwest region of North Dakota. So these are our numbers from 2012 to 2021. The oil boom, you can see in 2012, we definitely had a lot more fatalities. And then 2022 isn't shown on here, but 2022 was the first year in 20 years that we were under 100 fatalities, which is a huge accomplishment. These are our unbelted numbers the past 3 years in 2020. And the unbelted numbers, this is only where seatbelts are applicable. It's not motorcycles, pedestrians, or off-highway vehicles. But where seatbelts were applicable, 60% in 2020 were not wearing their seatbelts of our fatalities. 46% were not wearing their seatbelt in 2021, and 69% were not wearing their seatbelt in 2022. Almost 70%. And then here are our Stark County numbers. In 2020, you had 435 crashes, 8 fatalities. 2021, you had 422 crashes with 3 fatalities, and in 2022, you had 497 with only 2 fatalities.
So how do those fatalities correspond with your seatbelt use on this little graph?
I don't have all of the numbers on Stark County, but I'll get to that a little bit later. But that's a good question. So from 2015 to 2022, outside of the city of Dickinson, the map that I have doesn't include the city of Dickinson for whatever reason. It only includes the rural crashes in Stark County, but 24 fatalities were recorded. And of those 24, 15 were not buckled up at the time of the crash. So that's an unbelted fatality rate of 62% in Stark County. And that's rural. This, once again, it's excluding the city of Dickinson. Any questions on that?
So then the belted percentage would be 38%?
If Dickinson was included?
No.
Or
these are unbelted statistics. If they're belted, then it would just add that other
Yep.
38% to
Yes. Yep. 38% of your fatalities were buckled up at the time of the crash. But we have statistics that show, I mean, we have years and years of statistics that show that seatbelts do save your life.
Yeah.
So do you know, and I gave you a hint, but do you know your most dangerous intersection in Stark County?
Sims and First.
Well, rural intersection. So you have the 9th most dangerous rural intersection in North Dakota in Stark County, and that's on 116th and 37th Street. So I looked at the Google Maps of that, and I saw that there's stoplights or stop signs up on each corner of the intersection, and it's also has a blinking light too. I don't know how recent that is, but from 2019 to 2023, there were 3 serious injury crashes, 2 northbound and eastbound, and 1 northbound and westbound. All of those were where the northbound driver failed to yield or stop at the stop sign. So, any comments or questions on this? And
I
then
think we're
this
getting a roundabout out there, so.
Oh, you are?
Yes.
Oh, that's great. I did not know that. Good to know. Oh, that's great to know. So this is a group effort. It's not just engineering. It's not just law enforcement. It's not just EMS, and it's not just education. We all work together to get down to our goal of 0 fatalities. So on the education side, we take part in events and conferences. We get involved with media. We give presentations. I was just in Dickinson a month ago, giving presentations to our driver's ed students with the driver's ed classes here at the Dickinson High School. And we do a lot of work with schools when the school year is in session. So these are our Vision Zero schools that we have right now. Vision Zero Schools is a peer-to-peer program where students are telling each other to drive safe. It's not me or a law enforcement officer telling them what the right thing to do behind the wheel is. We give the students the information, and then they share that with their peers. And so we help them create PSA videos, public service announcement videos saying, hey, we want the Mustangs to get home safe every single time that they drive. Wear your seatbelt or drive the speed limit, drive sober, whatever that might be. And the school gets to focus on they get to choose their focus, whether that's speeding or buckling up or distracted driving. And I'd love to get another Vision Zero school more out west. Stark County having a school here would be great too. Right now we're kind of at a max with our schools, but if there's interest, if one of the schools has interest, I want to work with them in whatever way we can. And this is how we build our Vision Zero school. And we also hold a kickoff. Once everything is made, we present the students with a banner. So like 5 or 6 students will be on this banner, and it says, Mustangs want you to drive distraction free. And then the school can hang that up at the entrance of their school, and the kids get that message every single time they leave school. So it's been a great program. We've been doing it for about 3 years now with some of our schools, and our schools love it. And then we also got our first Vision Zero school on tribal lands at Standing Rock, which was a huge win too. So 69.1%. We have a really high unbelted rate in North Dakota. We're one of the highest in the nation for that. And so last year I was really thinking about this percentage and how concerning it was, and I decided to do my own part in going to schools, especially elementary schools, because those kids are a lot more impressionable. It's a lot harder to tell a high schooler to buckle up than a little kid.
And the little kids will tell their parents or grandparents to buckle up.
Yes, exactly. Yes. So I've seen a lot of fruit from that. So these are the schools that I've gone to in Bismarck, from Elk Ridge to Centennial, and then I've been to Wing, Flasher, and Wishick. And then right before this commission meeting, I met with Wade Suderna. He is at Beach DOT District. So he met with me here, and we talked a little bit more about how we can bring the Be Smart program and My Seatbelt Safety to Dickinson schools, along with more of our Southwest schools as well. So that's underway. This coming school year, we're planning on getting into more Dickinson schools as well and bringing that seatbelt safety to them. But you're right, I'll do an event and I'll have little kids come up to me and they'll be like, "Hey, I remember you told us about seatbelts," and they say, "I tell my parents to buckle up every time I get into the car now." And it's cute, and it's also just really affirming for me, because sometimes I don't know the fruit of what I do, and it's really rewarding in that
Who likes to
aspect.
be shame-based by a 6-year-old?
It's true. It works. It works. So these are our other events that we've done. And if you have events like this going on in Dickinson, Stark County, or anywhere else that you think would be great, I also do car shows, wellness fairs, anything like that. I love to go to events and help out, especially out here in Stark County too. I want to partner with you all. But I want to say thank you for your time listening to this and taking part in Vision Zero and supporting our mission, because it takes all of us. So thank you, and I'll stand for questions.
Teresa, first of all, thanks for being here. Obviously, seatbelt is your big push and focus. And when you were here last time, we talked a little bit about distracted drivers, especially, people texting and driving. And so I'd like to know, your feedback on that, how that's going. At one point, I think you mentioned you have like a demo you take around or something where there's some hands-on participation or something. How's that going and that kind of stuff?
Yeah, we held Driving Skills for Success, and that we have the distracted driving simulator, which shows that. So if we wanted to bring that to Dickinson, we could have that like during the lunch hour, and have kids experience what it's like to drive distracted and how harmful that could be. But in terms of distracted driving, it is really hard to track it, because like even with our distracted driving deaths, people often don't tell the truth about if they were on their phone or not, and it's a huge process to try and figure out if they were driving distracted or not. Things that I've been sharing with when I came to Dickinson with our Impact Teen Drivers presentation, I often throw in there the facts about the iPhone and how they've made it as addictive as possible for people. And so I talk about how Steve Jobs, the founder of the iPhone, didn't even let his own daughter have an iPhone before she left the house, because he knew how addictive it was and how harmful it was to her brain. So I share that with the students, and I think bringing awareness is the biggest thing. Obviously, I'm not a law enforcement officer, so I can't be like, you can't do that, or cite them when I see something, but I can educate, and so that's about as far as I've gotten with distracted driving. We do have that distracted driving simulator, but sometimes having that one-on-one conversation can also help. But honestly, it's also up to the student themselves and the parents to educate on on how important it is to drive distraction-free. So I don't know how well that answered your question, or if you have an idea that I can.
No, I mean,
bring.
I would love to see the demo be as available. At one point, when we talked last time, you were talking about the limited availability of that, being able to just make a circulation throughout the state.
Right.
And I think it would be great, because there is a sense of invincibility,
Right.
you know, of those who, I can drive, and I'm not just talking youth, I'm talking people of all ages, that they
Yeah.
have this. And it
But
would
like-
be, I think it would be very eye-opening if,
Like you said, it's an addiction, and even with counseling, addiction is always there. So I mean, that's a problem there too. And I really wish that if there is an accident, I wish that law enforcement could take the phone and see if it was being used. But I mean, that's infringing on
their
privacy and
rights.
stuff.
Yeah.
So another thing in my mind for distracted driving is pets on laps.
I've seen that too.
That's my pet
Yep.
peeve. For
Oh, that's funny. Pet peeve.
you got a dog hanging out the door, you know, and they're driving like this, and
Is that simulator, is that state-owned or is that third-party?
What did AAA used to own it, and now I think NDAC owns it. Don't quote me on that, though.
So they're-
I know
they're-
this is recorded, but don't quote me on
There,
that.
there used to be a program too that I recall, well, I believe it was called Live at 25.
Oh, yeah.
Is that still available?
It is. When we held our Driving Skills for Success event last week, the North Dakota Safety Council holds that class.
Okay.
And you can request them to come. Sometimes they ask for a donation, but Terry Weaver is in charge of that at the North Dakota Safety Council. So if you want to bring that to Dickinson, and maybe some driver's ed teachers are already having that in there. I haven't heard, but it is still available. But
Okay.
we don't offer it.
yeah, I would like to see you guys get more involved in Dickinson.
Yeah, we would like that too.
Any other questions? Okay, thanks for the work you do. I saw it firsthand down in Flasher, the basketball tournament down there, so.
Oh, you
I'd
were
like-
there?
Yes.
Yes, that's awesome. Well, thank
Okay.
you. I'm glad you saw that. That was fun.
Okay, thank you. Let's do the Stark County Council on Aging.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Becky Russell. I am the president for the Stark County Council on Aging. First of all, I just want to thank you again. I know we come to these meetings every year, and there are always dollars that we're requesting. But again, a thank you because you guys do support our seniors, those with disabilities, in what we're trying to accomplish here in Dickinson and the surrounding areas. One thing somebody asked me a question not long ago, well, how many seniors are really impacted, by these dollars? Just looking at some of the numbers that, are presented to us, we touch about 5,000 to maybe 6,000 lives. That could be a phone call, that could be a ride, that could be health services, that could be any type of health maintenance. And so, Kyle Klein is with me today, and John Bogner, I don't see him today, but I do have representatives from Elder Care and also from Southwestern District Health Unit. They are kind of the glue that helps us provide these services for our seniors. And so when we look at 5,000 to 6,000 lives and how those are touched, it could be very little, but it could be something that helps our seniors thrive. It helps our seniors to be part of the community. It helps our seniors get out to, maybe it's just a visit or a conversation. And again, that is a mental health thing for all of our seniors as well. When we look at the services and what the monies provide, we're looking at health maintenance programs such as health screenings. The health education part is anything that's happening today that, whether that be pandemic from a couple years ago, whether that be sun coverage, whether that would be, bumps and bruises and falls, things like that. Referring services to maintain and improve their health. We're looking at, again, delivered meals, transportation. A lot of our seniors don't have family that lives close by, so they have to find some way to get to the grocery store to pick up things. Providing care for our seniors, I think, to those of us that do that, it's a privilege. It's a privilege and an honor to help our seniors. With the monies that are provided for those programs, it helps those of us that are involved in that to kind of give hope to our seniors, give them some comfort, give them compassion, give them an open ear to kind of listen to what they need. Including in your budgets, you'll see line items to support great people that work for these programs that help push these things out to our seniors. They're always making changes to what might be happening in health pattern concerns. These groups are always looking for staff. I think Sherry or Brett had said at our last meeting, they're looking for nurses. They're looking for staff. They're looking for office people. Elder care is looking for drivers. We're always looking for people to fill positions to help those that have those questions and those needs. Because if we don't have the people, we don't have the people to help the 5,000 to 6,000 that are requesting something from us. Again, staff include any kind of coordinators. There are people that are not paid, such as volunteers, which are delivering meals, doing things for us. I kind of call them maybe our heroes too. Great people caring for great people should be really the motto that we have. One other group, and I won't spend so much time on it, but I want to raise up our senior centers as well. This year we've had a few, or I think it was 3 of our senior centers who have requested funds. And they kind of go unnoticed as well. But in our senior centers, they're doing things like bridge tournaments, pinochle tournaments. They're getting people out of their house, seniors to be thinking, continuing to work their minds. We also have senior centers who are making kolache, they're making strudel, they're selling what they're making to their communities so that they can provide things in their senior center buildings. A lot of our senior centers are bringing in Southwest District Health Unit to do bone builders, which is an exercise. Different speakers that they bring in. And again, every time we can get a senior or anybody that with any special needs can come to a community or into a group and be able to listen, to be able to laugh, to be able to share stories, that keeps their mind working. The laughter keeps their souls happy. And I think the more we do that, the more that we see that these people who have built our communities are being taken care of. So again, the monies that are put away for our senior programs, we are so very thankful for that. Great things are happening at Elder Care, at Southwestern District Health Unit, at all of our senior centers, and it's dollars that are put to very good use. So thank you for listening. Again, my message today is again, thank you for the monies that you two provide to our seniors. Any questions for us?
Thank
Yeah,
you.
question.
Thank you. And those senior centers are so important for them to be able to socialize, and there's so many positive, healthy things that come from that.
There's been a couple seniors that, have mentioned to me that, they don't know what to do in the community. And we refer them to their senior centers and they're like, oh my gosh, there's somebody I met that I haven't seen for years. And now, we get together and we play cards, or, I think they're crocheting or making blankets. And for us, busy people that plan out our day, that, okay, wake up in the morning, get this ready, get this done, get this accomplished. We have some of our seniors that sit in their homes and they don't know what to do. Mm-hmm. Again, they can get a ride to the senior center. They can then talk with those around them. And that sparks just
More value to their life when they're sitting at home all alone, and there's no, they lose their value mentally.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. Exactly. Any other questions?
Any other questions?
All right. Thank you again for your support. Appreciate it.
Thank you for all the work you do for your seniors for us. Okay. We'll take a break until 11 o'clock. Next, we'll do the emergency management. Ms. Decker.
Morning, Chairman, Commissioners. Lana Decker, Stark County Emergency Management. This is my report for July. Community lifelines are stable. The county fire report, we've had 69 calls throughout the county. We're looking at an increased number of brush fires. We've had 4 structure fires. And then as far as the wildland count, estimated based off the numbers I've received, we've had about 38 wildfires throughout the county with an estimated 67 acres burned. When you look at the state, we've had 754 fires with 11,922 acres burned. So taking that into consideration, the Stark County Fire Chiefs have asked me to update the burn restrictions, and as of today, we are restricting all burning of open pits and controlled burning. This is out of caution for the first responders responding to these incidents, for the community members, and for the preservation of property. Looking at, I know we've had some good weather at the beginning of the year and then also some kind of nicer weather lately, but those couple of weeks where we were in the high temperatures really dried us out really quickly. We're on the kind of edge of the drought right now, so it's kind of why we have decided to update that burn restriction. In July, we kind of had some funky weather. This was given to me by Todd Miller with the road department, actually. So this is a cold air funnel that was reported near Patterson Lake. It never touched the ground. It just, these cold air funnels kind of drop down a little bit and they usually pop back right up. But they can touch the ground and they can cause some damage. Throughout the whole state that week, there was actually reports of tons of cold air funnels. They were just happening there. Just weird little phenomenons. They're actually called weak air funnels, so they don't do really anything. But reminder, if anyone sees these, to call 911 and report them. If you're not comfortable calling 911, you can call the non-emergency number, which is 456-7759. Todd decided to text me a picture of this and not call 911, so don't do that, please. No, I appreciate it, Todd. On 7/12, Dunn County actually experienced a tornado that touched down, and the emergency manager up there gave me a phone call to tell me it was actually headed towards the county. So, in an abundance of caution, I sent out a citizen alert to the area of Taylor and Richardson to just warn them that potentially a funnel cloud was headed for the area, that we hadn't hit the criteria yet to set off the sirens or set off an emergency alert. But I just wanted to give people in that area a heads up using our notification system. So that is a free alerting tool that people can sign up for. You can find more information on the Stark County website through the emergency preparedness section. And then I'll take any questions.
So I know when you send out those, when you send out those alerts, you're getting some feedback too of who's utilizing them and who's seeing them.
Yeah, I do get numbers of who's receiving them, and then it will let me know if they're undeliverable for whatever reason. And then we have an option to send out a polling option. So when we open those community gathering locations, we utilized a polling feature to see if people were going to be utilizing those community gathering locations.
And what was the feedback?
Not a lot of people were, they responded, but not a lot were using the community gathering location. So it just kind of gave us a good idea of if these locations were going to be over capacity or not. But it was kind of a new, we hadn't done that before yet, so it was kind of a nice feature to use.
And then the percentage of utilization, people seeing it, do you get that?
Yeah, so we recently updated our data with Everbridge. It added close to 20,000 people, landlines. But what we're discovering is the information that they pulled might be a little old. So I'm going through it manually and I'm updating some stuff. So some of the information that was undeliverable were old numbers that it was trying to send to.
Okay.
So it's not quite accurate, but I'm trying to get it as accurate as I can, so.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, thanks for your report.
I think I had one more. I had a request for an out-of-state training from Jolynn Bliss in my office. She's my data specialist. She has been a valued member of my team for over 20 years. I haven't been here 20 years, but she is a valued member of emergency management. She's looking to go to the APCO NENA conference held in South Dakota. It's in Deadwood on September 30th to October 2nd. They move the convention from North Dakota to South Dakota every year. This year it fell into South Dakota. She's looking to go to continue her education and learn the best practices so that she can continue her job. She is highly skilled, has a wealth of experience. She maintains the most accurate data within the state. The cost of the training would be around $887. It is within my budget to send her, and I'm just looking for approval.
Look for a motion.
I make that motion.
Motion, do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor, state aye.
Aye. Aye.
Those opposed, motion carried.
Thank you.
Okay, next we'll go to outstanding checks.
So you would have received a list of 4 outstanding checks that are over a year old. I need the commission to approve canceling the 4 checks that are presented in the total of $97.21.
Okay, we'll look for a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I would move to approve the canceling of the checks as per the document sent in over by the auditor. I don't need to be specific on each of those, do we?
Just the 4.
Yeah, just those 4 checks, 9721 total.
You have a motion to have a second.
Second.
Second. Okay. Do a roll call vote then. Commissioner Messer.
Aye.
Commissioner White.
Aye.
Commissioner Marsh.
Aye.
Commissioner Claris.
Aye.
Chair votes aye, motion carried. Next, do the estimated tax statement amounts.
Okay, so I sent out to the commission. We have here what dollar amount for tax year 2023 that would have been mainly collected in 2024, what that mill number was at, and then proposed amounts for 2024 tax year that is collected for 2025 budget. In your line of 2024 tax year status, I put the amounts that we received requests for. And then the only one that we didn't receive yet was vector control. They do have until August 10th, which is also when their budgets are due. So I put 150 there though, because last year they were late. And so they were stuck at that 130 mark, but they actually did send over a request for 147. So I thought if we put it at 150, that would cover their variance depending on, if they come in at 147 again, then I can put it at 147, but at least that gives that little bit of a buffer for them. The other ones all did get their requests in, and that's where those numbers are coming from.
We need a motion on this, correct?
I think it's did the commission have any questions on any of the data? Just.
Any questions at all? Not then I'll look for a motion to approve.
So this would be the information that would be then transferred into the annual statement that goes out in the fall? Or do we have to do a separate action for that?
That'll be separate. This is what's going to be on the estimated tax statements.
Right, that
Yep.
you send out in the fall.
That we will send out at the end of August.
Yeah.
Yep.
Right, okay.
So the reason why you don't see a mill number there is because I plugged these dollar amounts in there, and then that'll determine your mill number. So come this fall, you'll have the dollar amount and the mill number that was approved for the estimated statements. And then the commission can choose to go down from that amount if they want to.
But not up.
But not up. My recommendation is that we, based on our budgeting and what we have coming before us, that we stay at the same dollar amounts as last year, and then go from there.
So you would want approval for the bottom line of the 14.3?
Yes, that would approve anything, that would approve the entire line if you want the approval for that, yeah.
Okay. So I'd make that motion that we propose set the tax statement amount at $14,338,543 as proposed.
A motion to have a second.
I'll second that.
Second. Any other discussion?
And I think it's just important to note that we have the ability to move down from that. So if we do get into budget discussions and we want to make adjustments, we certainly can do that.
Okay. Any other discussion? Not roll call then. Commissioner Masser.
Aye.
Commissioner Claris.
Aye.
Commissioner Marsh.
Aye.
Commissioner White.
Aye.
Chair votes aye, motion carried. Next, we go to the small city funding.
Okay. Mr. Chairman and fellow commissioners, I have a proposal in front of you. I've worked with Commissioner Messer and Auditor Richard, coming up with a formula to propose some infrastructure funding for small cities in Stark County. This initially was kind of spurred by, I think the city of Taylor came in a couple of times here, and it spurred some thought about what we can do for our small cities here in Stark County. I think that there is some agreement that the small cities are very important to our county, the overall health, and that they, as long as they're viable and vibrant, we have a, great chance for some, economic growth and providing some adequate services to our citizens outside of the larger city of Dickinson. I propose that this proposal lines out a contribution from the general fund of $1 million for 3 years, creating a total of $3 million for small cities here, and to be distributed by population based on the 2020 census. I do have outlined here some infrastructure projects that we're trying to emphasize water, sewer, and major road improvement projects within these small cities. I guess I would stand for any questions or discussion.
Yeah, well, just that it's a matching fund, so they have to come up with up or 50% or more of what they're eligible for. I think it's pretty well defined, but yeah.
I'm not a fan of special funds because I think it undermines the general fund. But what other counties do something similar, have you seen?
We're unaware of indirect contributions like this. I think there's a letter I saw circulating somewhere out of the east. I'm trying to think of the counties where they're doing that. I don't know anybody directly who's doing it, but we've talked about doing this. Every small community has had want. The cost of doing improvements, these kind of improvements, has gone through the roof especially since 2020. And if we don't, keep our small communities alive, that'll just be a drag on our on Dickinson as well.
They are definitely a definite part of it. I sort of brought this up in the past, but my funding would have been a home rule and hopefully a tax.
Yeah.
And
Well,
so, at this point,
And that could be an option. This is a 3-year deal, and we're not trying to commit future commissions to continuing this, but it's a kind of an infusion of capital into this. We want it to help them with their improvements, so.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Once again, some of the concern comes with the voting here this November, so.
Yeah, and the property tax measure will adversely affect smaller communities even worse
In
than
the
ours.
same way.
Yeah.
But it's gonna affect us in our
Yes.
ability to carry out on this.
Without doubt.
Corey, as far as the special fund question that you were talking about, after many conversations with the state auditors, that's actually how they prefer that we do it, because currently our general fund, when it has funds sitting in there like that and it's not allocated, in this case, you'd be moving the funds over and there's an actual allocation design. So this is like for a project. This is like this is really the correct way to do the funding side of it. As far as moving the money into a special fund, it has its own project plans attached.
So,
Well, so I'd like to see some other examples of it being done, I guess, so similar to that. And then I can see pulling it out of the general fund. I don't know, but I'm not a fan of the special funds, period. Because sometimes they're not tracked right, they're not handled right. But I don't, I know Taylor's been here, South Hart's been here, to ask for some funding on some projects as well, and Gladstone as well, yeah.
I mean, I guess I'd like to see the criteria of them getting it. I mean, there's gonna have to be a black and white, these are footsteps you need, because basically it's a grant that we're giving them a grant.
No, well, yes, I mean, it would be an offset. They're gonna have to have skin in the game.
Well, absolutely, but I mean, do they go out and do all the granting, extra grant writing and, try and get, or else do they just say, well, here's X amount of dollars, we just,
I believe that, I mean, I envision these folks, these cities coming to the table with a shovel-ready project with all the, all the particulars
That's
basically
why I said
laid
there's
out.
gotta be.
And as far as criteria, I mean, I provided each of you a little narrative, just so that we could kind of, you have an idea what we're thinking.
Because they have
here.
to know what to bring to us to present for us for
Yes.
giving the money.
Well, and,
Yes.
yeah, and this can be molded. Again, I don't think we're expecting approval on this today. I think it's part of the budgeting process, and it can be molded to address those issues. And, I think it's got to be an engineered project, so if a small town has a water break on one block and they have to dig into the street and replace the water line and the pavement, the road in that, I don't think that this is that. I think it's much bigger than that, have it engineered and those kind of things.
To answer your question, Corey, or to, you were talking about the special fund, I mean, kind of laid it out here where these monies would have to be used by the end of year 4. So it does have a sunset on it. And those funds would go back.
This
into the
would be
general fund.
strictly for infrastructure.
Yes.
I mean, not a road repair or.
Yeah, it's road infrastructure,
It could
sewer
be a
systems,
road repair,
water
I think,
systems.
maybe in connection with, with infrastructure, we've talked about that. I mean, if you're gonna do sewer or water lines through a city, typically, if they're not being bored, you're gonna be opening up road services, and it could be used for that. I think we can all agree that roads in some of these small towns could use some improvements, and as far as quality of life, I think that's, it's a viable option. But I would have to say, I mean, one thing we did talk about is, these monies are available, but they would have to come before this commission. And we as a commission would have to agree to let these monies on each individual
That's what I think
project.
that we as a commission should have a,
Yes.
The final
check this box, check this box, check this box.
Yes.
Just like when we did that road project that they're starting to pave on. Al had every single box checked on the application form for that money to come from the state, and we need something like that, for them to say, we have this done, we have this done, we have this done.
What my hope is that these funds, if the small cities knew that these funds were available, it would spur them to start tackling some projects. I think they're in a state of paralysis. I mean, some of these projects are so large that they don't even want to look at because they just can't even look at it unless they get some help. But knowing that there would be some matching funds available, and that's one of the requirements is, that they would have to have some skin in the game. And, which is
Even
nice.
up to this point, when they've come to us and they've showed they've had skin in the game, we've always helped them.
I don't think we have.
We did
We
help on the
haven't.
Taylor project, that water boost station last month.
Yeah, we did not.
We did not.
Yeah. And one of the things I think maybe some of the hesitancy by the commission. It's a fairness thing. I mean, how do you, help Taylor, not help Belfield, or vice versa, and if you lay this out that I think as far as equity, I mean, it's based on population. It's,
And I would be open to any criteria you want to add. That would be my first thing,
So
because
is there
this
anything-
isn't the finished product. But, you look from not only quality of life, but a safety. So we have two communities that I'm aware of that both have undersized fire protection lines.
Yeah,
This-
absolutely.
This would be
I've
helpful
brought
to
up in the
that.
past too.
Yep.
Where they got too small of a line running to the
Yep.
fire hydrants.
Yep, so if we need to put more criteria, I'm all ears on it. But this is a start, like I said.
And
the
is there
work-
anything in this for Dickinson?
No, not at this point.
It's just all small communities.
which I think this commission's already, we're doing some things with the city of Dickinson already,
Mr. Chairman, a comment, maybe to answer one of Corey's questions. I think Dunn County's got something, if like these little cities need something, they have an application online, you can go apply. Maybe you want to look at that and maybe get some ideas off of that. They give them grants for this, that, or whatever, but might be some kind of a, something to look at.
Is that a special fund or is that coming from the general?
I think it's a special fund. I'm not sure how it's funded, but I know there is an application you can fill out if you, I think Naratic got one for some, to do something there in some of these small towns, and I think Lake Ilo got something, so. I want to look at it. I have not seen it, but I know it's there, just to get some ideas.
I'm all for helping. I'm not saying that, I
think
don't
for-
know what kind of criteria we need, because I'm not a grant writer to know what people ask for in grants. And
We have nailed this down. I mean, it is, and that was kind of the plan, is to be, let's not overcomplicate this here. I mean, let's
Can't oversimplify it either.
well, a water, sewer, or road improvement project, and like I said, ultimately it would be at the discretion of this commission to approve an expenditure out of this special fund. So,
And if I remember right, Taylor did have all the funding for wrapped up. They were just looking,
For a match.
yeah, they were actually going, I think, talking about specials, so this is an opportunity to reduce that amount of specials that they're gonna assess to those residents in that city.
And we would make an application, and so we can check some of those boxes. Those applications would come before
Yeah,
the
that's what
commission.
I'd like to see.
Yeah, but we don't want to make the application until we know that the commission is even on board with something like this.
And one,
Part of the process would be the application, so I mean, in order to be on board, you gotta see
We
what.
can have a sample application, absolutely.
one thing, Corey, I would have to say is, we get these requests occasionally from small cities, fire departments, so on and so forth. Now,
generator,
one question
fire
that always
department.
comes up in my mind, well, do we have the money for it? Well, if we actually create this special fund and we know we have the money for something like this, that question is now taken care of. So,
Well, I guess continue on with this, and, I mean, I'm not against it in any way. I've just,
well, I would have to say that, this has probably been a subject probably at this commission and previous commissions probably for years.
It's definitely been a problem, trying to get a uniform on it, and this to me kind of set some guidelines on it as to what it was, and it goes by population, so it's something fair, because we don't want to give one community and not skip another community, so to me, it's something we've got kind of a plan to
yeah,
move forward
that
with.
part is, I totally agree with.
and have we've talked with the mayors of these other communities and got any feedback from them?
I have actually visited with one mayor about this, and I can't imagine that anyone would be.
Say no to
say
money.
no.
Right.
Yeah, they're not.
I can't imagine.
I
so,
get it, but
I've spoke to two of the city auditors so far, and both of them were extremely excited to think that, there is something that they could apply for when they're looking for match, and they know that that money is there when they're ready to come in with their project. So,
Yeah, and I think part of it, just to echo what Karen just said, was, we brought on Mr. Schwartz to try to help us out, and a lot of what he dealt with was emergency scenarios, not long-term infrastructure ones, and
He
it didn't
do
mesh,
what-
and
he
so
didn't do
now
what
we're
we thought
kind
he
of.
was gonna do.
Yeah, now we're kind of trying to fill that gap a little bit. This is by no means a catch-all, but I think it's enough to where we can afford it and shows that we're trying to do our part, so.
You know, there's another component is, when we talked about the safety thing, is affordable housing. In these small communities, you know, it is more affordable. If they've got the services and they've got the infrastructure to handle some, typically the housing is more affordable in these small communities, which we struggle with in this whole county is affordable housing. It really is hard, so.
And I'm not against helping out the small communities like that. The only problem I have is just with having a special fund. So I want to research it some more, so.
And I can talk to you, Corey,
Okay.
about the special fund and what I have from the state auditors and what their recommendations were on that.
Okay.
Okay. Any other discussion on this, or we need any formal action taken at this time, or?
Do we need to move it forward into the budgeting process, or what do you?
Well, I think it's pretty simple, honestly.
Well,
I think the only thing that we probably should, you know, we could go down the path of is formalizing some criteria.
I mean,
maybe
I think we can leave it going forward into budgeting, because by the time we get to that, you can have some of this other information
Okay.
ready for us.
If you're okay with that, that's fine.
You know, and even if it's, we decide to fund it differently, it's still sort of in the budget mind.
Yeah.
To where we can,
And quick question, in the past where we have helped out, for example, with the generator and Gladstone, that came out of the general fund, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep.
Yep, and fire trucks, we've done money for firefighting equipment, for various things. I think we've always, and that, quite honestly, to me, is kind of a flaw, because we're doing these projects one at a time. Here, we're looking at it broad brush collectively. Everybody gets under the same umbrella, per se, on how you do it. So I think this is a little better, more thought-out process.
And like I said, I think spurring these small communities to finally tackle some of these projects and start looking for grant money and doing whatever they can.
well,
'Cause
that's part of the process that I'm talking about, yeah.
There's a small window here, you know, what can be done in the next 4 years?
And I've had some conversations with our fire departments, especially around budgeting time, and they feel very comfortable in coming into the commission if they need help with the purchase of a fire truck. They don't necessarily, you know, say, we need access to this kind of funds. They just do it by item basis, and they're fine with that.
They're not intimidated by coming in.
Yeah.
I know they're
And
not, yeah.
could a motion be made that, you know, for a 3-year period of $1 million per each year, and have these stipulations without having a special fund?
Well, the only reason why you're having a special fund is you're transferring the $1 million into that special fund that has this amount is what they can pull that first year. And then it carries over into that second year. If we don't do it as a special fund, it's going to get thrown back into the general fund bulk. So there's no carryover, if that makes sense. So anything that's in the general fund goes back into the bucket. Whereas a special fund would take its balance with them, with these strings attached, and you have a clear plan of what is accessible. So that's why and it's easier to track. But that's where that comes from. It's like a special projects fund, because it has a specific project attached to it.
Yeah, it's really no different than our fairgrounds special project fund.
Don't
It's
you have
exactly the
a
same.
special project fund?
What's that?
Don't you have a special project fund?
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's fairgrounds, that's what we
Yeah.
built the bathrooms with, was the special project.
Yeah, well,
fund.
Al's doesn't have any documentation attached to it. This does. So we don't want to create funds without specific documentation to go with it, a plan.
So Al, when you apply for, or you're putting a project together and you're looking for funding from state, federal, and you're working with the engineering companies,
Usually there's funds for bridges or like the chip seal project, we get so many dollars every year allocated to each county. And a lot of times we'll like save it, like we probably get $300 some thousand, and we save it up, and then when we get enough money, then we'll do a chip seal.
You know,
So we're allocated so much every year. And then sometimes if you got a bigger project and they'll actually let you borrow ahead in the previous years, but then, then to get something done.
you know, what spurred this was, you know, when Taylor came with their application, this is lined out. They've done all the work. They've gotten all their funding put together. This thing is in a tidy little package. They bring it to the commission. And I mean, I think I commended them on their presentation here. That thing's ready to go. We don't want to get in the business of helping them make the application. I believe they employed more engineering to take care of this. Like I said, it was a very tidy package, very easy, and
That's what I want them to bring,
yeah,
whoever comes,
and I
that's
think
what I
that could
want
be a
them to bring to us.
criteria. I mean, it
You
should,
know,
they're gonna
that's
have
what
to
I'm
have
asking for.
some engineering, thing. So I guess I would agree with that. I mean, we want them to bring something very well
yeah,
thought
they
out
did.
and ready to go.
Yep.
And honestly, Taylor even basically said this project was gonna happen with or without us. What the opportunity for us with Taylor would be to reduce that specials amount to their citizens. So,
No, I appreciate the work you did on them. You did a lot of background work and stuff like that, but that's what you were just describing is what I want them to bring to us.
And they will. You're basically just helping to lower the city trying
Yeah,
to come up
I understand
with those dollars.
Yeah, they definitely did their due diligence when they came here, so.
I look at it as an opportunity to take action.
Any other discussion on this? Any formal action we gotta take on this, or?
Well, I'll make the motion that we take this project or this proposal to the next step. Let's work on, and I'll participate as much needed, Karen. Paul, create that criteria checklist, if you would, and then also work out the details on the
Application.
the funding, or the account. I know and Karen's exactly right, because if you leave it in the general fund, then it's subject to the auditor's rules, state auditor's rules and regulations, that 75% rule and all this other kind of stuff.
And this is what the state auditor wants.
Yeah, so
If you have a direct plan attached to that money, that's how they want it.
Yep, so I do appreciate Corey's concern, but I know that this would then be outside that 75%, and then we don't have to worry about it, so, okay. To take this to the next step, to include the budgeting process, so it's as clear as mud, I'm sure.
Okay, I have a motion, do I have a second?
I'll second it.
I have a second. Any other discussion? Do a roll call vote. Commissioner Messer.
Aye.
Commissioner Claris.
Aye.
Commissioner Marsh.
Aye.
Commissioner White.
No.
Chair votes aye, motion carried. Next we'll go to Richardson Lots Assessment.
Yeah, there she is.
Chairman, members of the board, I'm Natalie Wandler, the Stark County Tax Director. And I apologize if Neil wouldn't have told me that this was supposed to be done, I would have never known, because we have zero value on it right now, because the county owns it. So I did go back into that property that we tore the house in the lot, or the house and the garage down. Everything that we have in Richardson is $100 a front foot. There's 3 lots there, 25 by 140. So the value on that land would be $7,700.
Is this a property that the Fredericks are looking at?
Yes.
Is that 2 properties there or 1?
There's 3 lots.
3 lots?
3 lots. They're all 25 by 140.
So
And
if
we value them by front foot, so that's the way everything's done in the city, all the small cities pretty much.
So just to back up, we were trying to figure out how to establish value, because we had delinquent taxes, delinquent specials, we had demolition, we had landfill charges, we had all those kind of things, which amounted to almost $50,000. And for us to put a $50,000 value on that lot, we'd own it forever. So what we're trying to do is get to a point where we put a reasonable value on the property and still trying to recoup part of our costs. So, having said that, I guess according to Al that you gave me last month, we had paid Martin Construction almost $10,000, about $9,700 to tear that down. The landfill charges were about $11,700. And we had delinquent dollars, I have it here somewhere.
I have the cost of the removal of the Richardson house at $39,413.
Right, so
and
Martin,
13
but
cents.
that included county time. Okay?
Yes.
So we've sold other properties where we haven't added that in. And so I think, and again, it's part of the conversation, but again, if we put the value at 50,000, 10 years from now, we're gonna still own this lot. And that's not, we're not in the business of owning that property. We have to try to do the best of extracting value, whatever that is. And even if we establish and agree to a value today, we have the formality process of notification, publication, all this kind of stuff. But I guess the point that we were trying to get to last month was to just recognize that 50,000 is not a realistic number for us.
So when a property is delinquent and we have it, okay, the specials that go into this price, so the current amount as of today with penalty and interest that is owed is $6,789.96. Okay, that would include one round of specials, but you have to remember that it's spread out over the next how many years. So when they buy this property, this does not include next year's specials.
Right.
They're buying this property with the fact that they are gonna have to pay
Assume specials,
specials.
yeah.
So whatever the price is immediately off the top, and there's gonna be more interest on there. You're looking at about $7,000 right off the top is going to go to taxes and specials. So then it's whatever the commission wants to recoup from the tearing down of the house.
Yeah. I mean, we
For our
sold,
price.
we sold the Fisher lots. The buyers assumed the specials, whatever that was. We were lucky there. We had actually some value there to extract off of. We don't have that here. So that's where it's at. We wanted to bring these numbers forward, and we wanted to know what the value of the land is at 7,700. I'm not in favor of selling it for that. I think if given a reasonable time, I think somebody else would step up and pay significantly more than that. So
I don't believe that I have very many empty lot sales in Richardson, but I could maybe look at a couple of the other small cities and just see kind of what the lots are going for about that size. I didn't even think about checking into that, but yeah, I mean, Richardson, there's not a lot of empty lots, period, so it's hard to
a 10,500 square foot lot in our community, obviously significantly more, but I would think in any community in the county would bring significantly, north of 20 grand. But,
What did that house we tore down 2 years ago sell for? Dean, you remember that one was? Tore the house, whatever happened to the lot?
Yeah, the neighbors bought it that lived next to it, but I don't recall what they paid for it. I don't recall.
I don't think that was near as big a lot either.
about 7 grand.
Okay.
Was it? I was thinking, if for some reason I was thinking it was now 9, but I'm not sure. I'm guessing, but.
That's actually a nice lot.
It is.
I mean, it's got two side streets and nice place to town, but.
And again, I don't think we need to make a decision on this today. We can put it out there and have it in the notification process with the other lots. But we said we would have a conversation and take a look at it because I just know 50,000 is not going to be the realistic number.
Who's currently maintaining and mowing them yards? We are. You are?
Well, I know the Fredericks are definitely interested. They talked to me, wondering if they should be at this meeting. I says, hopefully we can have something by the September meeting. So I'm sure they'll be here at the next meeting if we'll have any answers for them.
Yeah, but we'd still have to go through that
Oh,
process.
yeah, no, I understand
Right,
that, yes.
Yeah,
But we have enough time to do that between now and then.
yeah.
And maybe there'll be other chairs with people in it at that meeting.
Exactly.
Those lots still have utilities?
When we dug the basement out, the city come off and we just kind of cut it off where it goes out to the curb.
Okay.
But there's no utility, there's nothing buried in the basement, it's just plain dirt.
Even the foundations are gone, right?
Foundations are gone too. That's why the landfill was so expensive, because there's all that stuff that was in there.
Do we need to set a value then, or to move forward, or what?
If you want, I'd be willing to do it, but if people want to chew on this a little bit till the next month, I'm fine with that as
I think if
well.
you set a value, then couldn't we at least put it out there
Right.
for public hearing and?
You have to set a public hearing and you have to send notice.
Yeah.
Well, I'll start the conversation then. Let's put it, I'll move that we set the valuation of this property at $30,000
For all 3 lots.
for all 3 lots.
I have a motion to have a second.
I'd second that.
Second, any other discussion? On the roll call then, Commissioner Messer,
Aye.
Commissioner Claris,
Aye.
Commissioner Marsh,
Aye.
Commissioner White,
Aye.
chair votes aye, motion carried. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Set in stone, then you'll have to have that public hearing for the.
Yep.
See Travis is not here. Paul, are you taking of this?
Yeah, he was discussing, he has got a vehicle in the fleet over there that he'd like to sell, but I don't have those particulars in front of me. I think it's a 95 Ford F-150, but, we should just let him come back and at
Okay,
a different time.
put it on for the next meeting, I guess, then.
I would ask the question, so if we want to sell a county piece of property, I think there was some talk at our last weed board meeting about actually putting it on bids, right? So,
There's a statute about it.
I guess maybe that's just the action that we need is to put it out on bids.
I think usually we add stuff to Al's auction.
Well, and I'd asked that, but I wasn't sure if they wanted to wait that long.
Oh, yeah, because that's once a year.
You know, what you could do is put a value on it, send it to all the auditors. Some other county might scarf that thing right up, then you don't.
I think he did then. I think nobody had any
Nobody
interest.
answers? Okay.
I thought that's what he told me,
Okay.
so that's why he came back and
Okay.
asked, so.
I feel like we could probably get better value if we would take it to the general public.
Yeah, so if you assess the property to be less than $1,000, it can be sold at private sale, but if it's over $1,000, then you have to have a.
So what's that notice period look like? We just have to publish it in Dickinson Press for 2 weeks and accept.
Once each week for 2 consecutive weeks, a notice containing. Once each week, for 2 consecutive weeks, a notice containing a description of the property to be sold and designating the place where and the day and hour when the sale will be held. The notice must specify whether the bids are to be received at auction or sealed bids as determined by the board. So it has to be a.
Yeah.
So you
We
need a
see
mo-
those ads all the time.
So we need a
excess
motion
property for
we need a
sale.
motion to put this thing out for bid.
Mm-hmm.
You have to set a price for it, and then, well, yeah, if it's over, you have to set that
Yes.
it's over $1,000, and then.
It's gonna be not much more than 1,000, but we probably.
So we make a motion
Yeah.
to approve to sell this, at a minimum of $1,000
And I would just do sealed bids
with a sealed bid.
Yeah.
and then we'll open them at the next commission meeting. We'll
There we
put it in the
go.
paper.
Is that your motion, Corey?
Yes.
I'd second it.
Motion and second then. All in favor, state aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, motion carried. Okay, next we'll go into
Have
policies
to
then.
do, since there was a dollar amount on that, do an individual or?
Over $1,000.
Oh, it was over.
Yeah, you're just doing
Okay,
the bid.
Fair enough.
Yep.
Thank you.
All right. Good morning. Joetta Piercy, Human Resources Director. I am bringing back a couple policies. The bereavement leave. We discussed a definition for significant other. So I looked that up and defined it as a boyfriend, girlfriend, domestic partner, and then I also added in or a part of your household, which we did have in our previous policy. The other thing that I missed was the brother-in-law or sister-in-law. So I don't think I added it into yours because somebody brought it to my attention yesterday. So after sibling, you would add and their spouse.
How about like mother-in-laws then?
It was included in there, yeah. That, I just missed the one thing.
I love my mother-in-law.
Me too. Just for the record, I do too.
Yeah, yeah.
She's 93 years old, still lives alone, so.
Okay. Any questions on this policy? Not a look for motion to approve.
I would make the motion to approve the policies.
Or we
Is
approve it
this
all
just
three?
the bereavement
That was
one?
just
Just for the bereavement?
Yeah. Do you
Okay.
want me to go through? I mean, we can probably just do them one at a time. That'd probably be easier.
Make a motion to approve the bereavement leave.
I'll second.
A motion and second. All in favor, state aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carried.
Okay, and then the sick leave, it was the same thing, a definition for significant other, defined as boyfriend, girlfriend, domestic partner, and then I added or a part of your household. And that's all the change was on that one.
Make a motion to approve the sick leave policy.
Okay, have a motion to have a second.
Second.
Have a second. All in favor, state aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, motion carried.
Okay, and then the third policy is a new one. We don't currently have a social media policy except for the guidelines in our employee handbook. And so our intent here was just to kind of lay out not only personal, but also professional guidelines. So it would give some guidelines to the people that are posting on our Facebook pages, on our website, that sort of thing. So I don't know if there's anything there. There was a lot of discussion when we were developing this policy on our, what are our official social media accounts. So we finally came up with Facebook. We have our Stark County, North Dakota one. The Emergency Services 911 has one. The Sheriff's Office has one. And then Weed Control also has one. So, and then we have our official website, YouTube page, and then the Sheriff's Office also has an official website. Administration of those, we wanted to ensure continuity, if anyone left, and also the security of those accounts. So all of these would have at least 2 administrators, and they would maintain the passwords and the access to those, and who could post also. If anybody wanted to create a new page or account, then that would have to be approved by the commission too, because we did get into discussion about creating mobile apps, and we thought that needed to come before the board if somebody wanted to do that.
Any questions on this policy?
I had a question on, and I was trying to see where I seen it. It had to do with the website and stuff. So I'm assuming that once we hire somebody into the IT role, wouldn't they be the super user on the website?
They would certainly be one. I think you need more than one, we need more than one super user on the website. You need at least 2 for sure. But yes, they certainly would be.
So, and I'm fine with the policy as proposed, no problem, I guess. I'm just wondering, elected officials, do you have any, can I as a whatever elected official just do whatever I feel?
I mean, you can create your own personal page. Yeah.
But I mean,
you can't use, you need permission, like if you wanted to use Stark County's logo or
Well, I
anything
think we
along
talked
that.
about that, Joanna, right, though? The
Yeah.
county logo or other organizational images may not be used on personal social media sites without permission from the county commission or their designee, except that when any of us are running for election, then they're probably going to be using some sort of Stark County or some sort of, and I thought you had said we were just gonna take that portion of it out. Is that not correct?
Well, I think I think it was black and white. I think it was gonna be that they couldn't use it at all, but I think
I don't think that's right. I mean, if Corey is running for sheriff and he wants to use his sheriff's office.
I don't know.
Well, and I could
You're
use
a good
myself as
example.
well, but I'm just saying, like, if, I don't know how that, I mean, then you're gonna be in violation of this policy.
Does the policy say the actual logo?
There can be permission granted to use that logo.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So you want us to come to you to ask
Yes,
to use the
particularly. You
county
don't have to come to
logo for,
Thank you, Paul, for volunteering for that.
Let's see, it says the county logo or other organizational images may not be used on personal social media sites without permission from the county commission or their designee.
do we have some sort of a copyright on that image? Like, where are we even?
We
like,
sure don't.
Yeah, I mean, if someone screenshots it and throws it all over, we have no legal recourse to go after them. Saying.
Yeah, we saw that with some of the Facebook account, correct, here recently, that had the Stark County logo and it wasn't our,
Yeah, so,
yeah.
I guess what's wrong with saying we don't want people to do it, though?
what's your recourse?
Well, do you have, I mean, we
What is
just,
what is your recourse? What is your legal recourse? If I take it, if it's out on a public website and it's not copyrighted and I screenshot it and I use it on my personal page, what are you going to do? What is the county going to do?
Send you a letter.
Okay, and then what? To myself, to Corey, to you?
Please the lawyers.
Yeah.
I don't know what legal protections we have over it. I don't know. That's something you guys can decide. I'm just letting you know there's issues with it. What do you, I mean, if.
I don't know that about copyright laws or anything, but I mean, typically you can't use people's logos or
You can use
pictures
anything. If you
without
put something out
permission.
on the internet, it is free game. You can use it however you want.
And it's usually true.
I'm just saying, like, if you put it out there,
I get it.
that is
You-
a public domain. If I put my face out, which I have it out on Facebook, and someone screenshots it, and then they throw it on some stupid website, I don't have a whole lot of recourse because I've put my picture on the public domain. It's just a downfall of
that-
social media.
Is the county logo our logo? I mean, it's specific. to us.
Copyrighted? I don't know.
I'm pretty sure it's not copyrighted.
But this policy governs our employees, though, not the public.
Sure,
Yeah.
and that's what I mean.
Well,
Like,
the-
what's your recourse?
Well, the point that I was trying to get to was, let's say the county on their Facebook page says that we're doing this, the road on 109 is going to be closed because of construction. Can I, as a county commissioner, go on there? This is the stupidest thing I've ever heard. Why are we closing? You know, that's the point I was getting at. We're putting limits on posts by employees, but we're letting the elected officials wide open. And it makes no difference to me. I'm just saying, let's discuss it.
Or what if you want to share an image from one of the Stark County pages, right? That's sharing information, whether it's emergency management or Fair Association or Corey's page. You know, I share things all the time that would have perhaps the Stark County logo in it. And that's just for informational purposes, but I'm not gonna come and ask for permission every time I do that.
I was under the assumption, and I know that there was recently a Supreme Court ruling on this, is that had more to do with if in your capacity as a county official, if you went out and said something in your capacity, right? So as the Stark County Auditor, and I have it listed, everybody knows I'm the Stark County Auditor, and I say, put a direct thing out there, okay, as the Stark County Auditor, that's where you get into legal trouble.
Well, what it actually was saying, and it's more nuanced than I'm gonna go through right now, is that if you have official websites, you can't like block people and delete comments because.
Yeah, that was a problem too.
Yeah.
So do we want to
Do you
remove
not
that?
want the county employees to be able to share, you know, if there's something that's going on, maybe there's a rodeo, maybe there's some information. I mean, I don't know. It just seems to me that there's maybe fallbacks to that. I don't know. It's up to you guys. I can understand why you'd want it if you have an employee, but if you have an employee who's using the Stark County logo, who's sitting here bashing Stark County, then you guys are gonna have to take some personnel steps anyway, right?
So do we want to remove that bullet point?
No, I think we adopt the policy and we'll be as responsive as we need to as things go forward.
I guess.
What are you gonna do if someone comes to you and says, Stark County, or so-and-so, who's a Stark County employee, used Stark County's image? Did they ask for permission? You say no.
Well, you just said it is available for, well, I'm sorry, that's probably it. Posting it online that makes it public versus just going ahead and, copying it online makes it different than just go ahead and posting it.
Well, because the county logo, this is what it says, the county logo or other organizational images may not be used on personal social media sites without permission from the county commission or their designee.
I want to say I got this out of the employee handbook, so I didn't just make this up. But I think the intent was that an employee wouldn't like take our logo and then like post, I don't know, as an official Stark County post. But I might.
I think a lot of things about the IT policies and social media policies, they're gonna be ever growing and changing always.
Yeah, it is.
New technology comes out all the time, things happen. That's probably a policy that should be reviewed annually and made any adjustments to it, so.
I think this does affect our department as well.
When Amanda read it that second time, I think it does, because our employees do post a lot. We have separate policies on what you can and can't post in uniform and things like that. And our own policies, away from the county policy, so I think this would be a problem for us.
And I don't think this bullet point is referring to sharing things. You know, we all share things. It's taking that and using it on your own personal site, but like you said, that.
I mean, is that a problem currently?
Not currently, no, but I mean, it could be. I mean, I think one of the examples was when, was it the fairgrounds were selling
Yeah, they were selling tickets.
tickets, and then somebody, you know, took their information and made a bogus website and people got ripped off.
But let's go back to that
that's in
then. That was
Dickinson,
not
Texas.
an employee, right?
No.
No.
Right, so if, like what Dean just said, this only applies to employees. So you're trying to write a policy to make sure that someone can't share an image to be a bad actor, but that bad actor isn't an employee.
Well, and you can also leave that out of there too, because even if, like, say I'm an employee of Stark County and I post something that has Stark County logo, name, whatever on it, and it sheds bad light within the county, then there's probably some discussions and maybe some disciplinary actions that need to be
Right.
taken. So
That's my point.
And let it be at that.
Delineate between creating posts and sharing posts.
You could, I guess.
I mean, if you're sharing an official post from an official Stark County Facebook page, for instance, I can't imagine why what's bad about that exactly. But I mean, at the same time, I mean, let's say, okay, so we are all elected officials and we are running for reelection and we have our own pages, okay? Should your person you're running against who's not an incumbent be able to use the Stark County logo?
Sure.
They could if they wanted.
They wanted
Well,
to.
they could now.
Well, but we wouldn't be able to stop them from doing that anyways. It's just an interior, this is just an interior policy for your employees.
Yeah.
So in my opinion, I would think that you would want your employees to be like proud of Stark County and
Post away.
sharing things and propping it up. I mean, yes, if they're using it in a nefarious way, then there are going to be issues that are gonna have to be dealt with, but
Then we got,
that's
code of
other,
conduct
you know,
issue or-
personnel
yeah.
issues.
Yeah, this is from our handbook.
This isn't gonna prevent your scamster from Dickinson,
No.
Texas, selling tickets to their fair.
So I make a motion to remove the logo. Did you make a motion? No. So I make a motion to remove a logo statement off of the social media policy, and that can be addressed whether either it's on code of conduct or disciplinary or whatever policy.
So you're saying approve everything with the exception of removing that?
Correct.
So you have a motion, I have a second.
Second.
I have a second. Any other discussion? All in favor state aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, motion carried.
Okay, I went, then in the employee handbook, do we want to remove it there also? Let's see, let me get the,
And I think Cory White is correct. Maybe that's something that you look at under a code of conduct, right?
Correct.
As opposed to the social media policy.
Correct.
Yeah.
so in the handbook, it says, the bullet point is the county logo or other organizational images may not be used on personal social media sites without permission from the county commission or their designee. The county's name may not be used to promote a personal cause, product, political party, or candidate.
And I think that gets into code of conduct things.
Yeah, if, for example, say a bunch of county workers after work went out to a bar, right? They all have their county web shirt logos on their shirt.
That's what we removed, that second sentence.
There is
Okay. Now I remember.
there is some nefarious things going on that make social media and the Stark County logos on all their shirts. Or, you know, a fight breaks out at the table.
Okay, so we'll remove that bullet point in the handbook also.
And then I think you can craft, like you said, under the code of conduct, how the Stark County logo for its employees
Well,
can be used.
Yeah, and then we have all these other ones that we're working on, Joetta, as well, that we can work on, so that could be all at the same time. Yep.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, and I guess on August 20th to the meeting, we won't need that because of the budget process, so we want a motion to cancel the August 20th meeting.
We will have another one in September before the approval in the October, but we're doing the individual department heads. I think I sent out all the invitations. So we don't really need the August 20th, but it's up to the commission.
Yeah. My only comment was it was kind of nice to have the department heads come up at a public forum and present their budget. If we have a way of replicating that in some fashion, I have no problem not having the August 20th.
We will in the September meeting.
Okay.
Okay.
Yep.
Then I'm fine with that.
public likes it too.
Yes, absolutely.
So the August 20th,
20th.
and we will just, everything from the August 20th go to the September 5th?
September 20th, I
The
think is it.
September 20th meeting will be our budget that everybody comes up.
I didn't write that down anywhere.
Since it's not the
It's not the
20th,
20th is set though.
It's
17th?
17th.
17th, yeah.
Yeah, I thought I was wrong there. It was, what's,
That's gonna be 9 in the morning?
Yeah,
On
and that's
what
set
date?
as a regular commission
September
meeting already.
17th.
Okay.
Actually, it's the 24th. Or no, yeah, you're right, 17th, I'm sorry.
You guys are making me feel
Yeah,
wrong. No,
17th,
Can we just be done?
yeah.
Can we move that up a little bit? Because I do have Stark Development at 10 unless we're
Well,
going to be done by 10.
this is a
Time-wise,
commission meeting,
Time-wise.
but this is a commission meeting that is set like on our commission schedule.
Okay, so we
Yeah.
have to
We're
be at
just
9.
canceling one.
So we have to be at 9 on the 17th of September.
That's what time was put out there unless you're changing another
So our
meeting.
normal commission meeting is September 5th because of the holiday.
We had extra commission meetings for budget, but we don't need the August 20th one.
Correct.
We just need a September one.
No, the second is a holiday,
Yep.
so we moved it to
To the 5th.
5th.
Yeah, and then the 17th.
On the 17th, got it.
And we're back on track on October 1st.
Okay. And then also another item is sit down and organize township mileage, the state requiring this. Oh, okay.
It is a scheduled commission meeting, so if
Okay,
you
I
want
would
to
move that
cancel.
we cancel the August 20th scheduled commission meeting.
Motion to have second.
Second.
Second, all in favor, state aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carried. Now we got the request from the state, right, for unorganized mileage for townships, correct?
Yep, Todd graciously went through and by unit, unorganized township, you guys would have got it sent out to you in your email yesterday. It has, I think there's about 30 lines of every unorganized township that we have and how many mileage we have in those townships. So I'm just looking for approval of that, total mileage. I want to say it was 1160.
16 something, was it?
Do you have yours from yesterday? So just so the commission is aware, we actually get paid per mileage. So that's why we have to send this report over. It is worth something. But the grand total, there you go,
And that's 1160,
Yeah.
0.91 miles. That are
1160.19,
0.91.
0.91. Okay, I'll move that we submit the unorganized township road mileage at 1,160.9 miles.
Approving my signature on that.
And authorize the chair to sign that.
Okay, a motion to have a second.
Second.
All in favor, state aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carried. Anything else? If not, I'll look for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Motion adjourn, have a second.
Second.
All in favor, state aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, motion